Good evening. I'd like to call the May 1st, 2017 Board of Selectmen's meeting to order. At this time, I'd like everybody to stand and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so tonight on the agenda we have 605 Board of Health variance. Later on in the meeting we discuss a letter by Lauren Moreau, our planning board member, regarding application to the DLTA, approve a side opening permit for a gas line, approve and sign a Sunday entertainment license for St. John Newman for Sunday, May 28th, sign an agreement with Stop and Shop for use for the bypass road for the annual 4th of July parade, approve Board of Selectmen's minutes, sign a gas replacement pump contract, town administrator's report, discuss the town administrator's position, and discuss a letter by Kevin Bernardo regarding the health agent position. At this time, is there anybody taking the meeting?
We can.
Okay. All right, with that being said, anybody here for public discussion? Yes, no? No? Public discussion, anybody? Okay. All right, so with that being said, 605, Board of Health variance for 11 Pickens.
Yes.
I'll turn it over to the Board of Health. Go, Charlie.
Hello. I'll open the hearing for the health variance at 11 Pickens Street, or Pickens, whatever it is, Pickens they call it. Karen?
Good afternoon. 11 Pickens has 5 variance requests. I worked along with the engineer. Originally they had setbacks from 47 feet on some wells and 48 feet. We tried to get it farther away as much as we could. It's very tight around there. So we at least got the 50 that we were looking for. And the engineer's here and he can explain a little more in detail.
You can bring that up.
Okay, sure, great.
Thank you.
This okay right over here?
Sure. And can you just state your name for the record, please?
Sure. Nick Dufresne, Farland Corp., Civil Engineers and Land Surveyors?
Actually, before we start, I apologize. Have all the butters been notified?
Thank you.
Yes, I actually have the green cards.
Do you have the green cards? We have to read them off for the
Sure.
record.
I believe we actually notified all within 100 feet, so there's a few.
I just thought I'd put you in and read it off.
Go ahead.
William Bates. Amanda Richards. Catherine
Cronin.
Cronin.
Jamal.
Jamal? Yeah. Okay. Craig. J&W Properties. And Miller, Todd Miller.
I don't know what happened to mine, I signed John Chase.
Okay, there's a John Chase as a receipt.
sent.
So it's sent. The green card wasn't returned. You know how long ago it was you signed it, Mr. Chase?
A couple of weeks ago, anyway.
Okay.
You have the receipt that was sent.
So you did sign it, send it back, so you can just note that for the
Yeah.
record.
Okay.
Anybody else here that didn't get that we didn't name? No? Okay, all set.
Thank you. So the property project we're working on here is located at 11 Pickens Ave. It's an existing dwelling here. The applicant is proposing to take down that structure and build a new single-family dwelling, 3-bedroom. With that, we'll also be upgrading the septic system. There's an old leaching pit or cesspool located in the backyard here, very close to house number 3. And also installing a new well, which we've located in the front of the lot in this location. As stated, we are asking for some variances, and I'll just quickly run through those. Variances from setback from foundation to leaching field. This is the bulkhead right here. We've got about almost 19 feet, but also we couldn't meet the 20-foot requirement on that. The leaching field to the property line on this side, we're at 5 feet. Again, the reason for that was we're trying to get the leaching field at least 50 feet away from all of the wells in the area. And then our leaching field to our well also, we're asking for a variance. We provided 74 feet for that. And then the well to house number 3, we have 50 feet in the back here. And then to house number 9, we have 51 feet. Then the other variance lastly is our well to the leaching field across Pickens Ave here, 70 feet. So those are the variances that we're requesting for the project, and I can take any questions if anybody has.
Look at this thing.
There's another, I have a couple copies too, if you want to.
I saw a 31 on the print, but I saw it up in
The office.
right, and it had 32 feet or something on it. What happened to that?
Excuse me, sir, the questions go through the chair, okay? So you ask him, Kevin, is this, run through the variance procedure, process before?
I'm trying
This
to
one,
find
I believe,
where David.
I know we did one over there, I didn't know if that was this one or one of the maybe,
yeah, we did one that's up the street, a little more.
a little more up the street.
Which house number?
9 Pickens Ave.
Can you,
Okay,
excuse me,
all right, I'm thinking-
Sir,
Excuse me.
sir, after you look at the, you might just have, then you can.
did you have a specific question?
Well, on the plan that they had 31 or 32 feet on there. But I don't see it on that plan there. Is it on that one? When they went up to the,
What specifically are you looking for? Distance between
31
well?
feet from,
to my property line, where my well is, which.
yeah, originally, this is
But
the,
it says 35 feet
yeah,
right
this is
there.
originally the plan, then he submitted, I asked the gentleman to change everything. Because originally he was asking for 47 feet on one. This one was 35 feet, no, 48 feet. So I said,
On
can
the
we
other
have
one,
to,
it didn't have 48, it
yeah.
had 30.
So he submitted this, but she's gonna submit the larger copy, but I asked him, go back to the drawing board, please, get it to at least 50, which is the requirement.
Yeah. But I mean, everyone there, they want all those variances, which they're not going by the law. I don't understand. If you have
It's
to
an
have 50
existing-
feet,
it's
you
a-
have to have 50 feet.
Yeah, the problem is, it's an existing dwelling, it used to be probably a summer home. Yourself, if you have to do something, just say you own that property, if you have to do something, you'd be in the same boat. We're trying to stay within Title V regulations, the minimum, which is the 50, which they moved, they shifted the whole thing. But now they got closer to the road.
Yeah.
So that was the idea. We're gonna affect the road, not the people who drink water.
Is he closer to 50 feet than on any of the wells from the leaching field? Is he 50 feet or greater on all the?
Oh,
leaching
yeah,
field?
yeah,
To all the wells?
yeah. And that's what the original
Fine.
plan was 47, 48. I asked them to go back and work on it again.
How many member household is that?
It's a three?
Three?
Three-bedroom.
Okay, 3-bedroom.
So it would be restricted. With any variance you request, there would be a deed restriction on the house, meaning that it couldn't expand flow. So you can never make it a 4-bedroom. That would be recorded.
Any other?
Copy of that after?
Yeah, he's gonna submit, you're gonna submit the larger ones. This was just with the, we went back to the drawing board before the meeting.
Are there any other questions? Hearing none, I will then close public portion of the public hearing and deliberation.
I'll make a motion to grant the variance as long as no well is closer than 50 feet to the septic. The minimum would maintain 50 feet between well and septic.
Also with the said variances and also with the deed restriction as well.
With the deed restriction.
So I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank
The
you.
ayes have it.
Thank you.
I just need your signature, please.
Is Warren coming to the meeting? Huh? No, okay. All right, so we have a, you're all set, Kevin, thank you, for now anyway.
I'll just stick around.
All right, so we have a letter sent by Lauren Moreau from the planning board regarding the application to DLTA, the district local technical assistance. Request has been approved by Serped. They need a member of the board to be part of their cabinet. There's a meeting scheduled for May 10th at 1 o'clock.
I cannot make that meeting.
Okay.
I
I
was,
can, so,
I was going to volunteer, but it's not a meeting I can make.
1 o'clock.
10th at 1.
yeah, they need a member of the board to decide to be part of this working committee. It's 2 working sessions and a public workshop if needed. Part of the request was to help identify municipal best practices and submit an application to join the Baker Administration's Community Compact Cabinet, okay? All right, so,
Motion named Charles Sullivan to the DLTA representative, to Serped as the DLT representative. To Serped as the Freetown representative for the DLTA.
you want to second that?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, approve a sign opening permit for gas line at 17 Freeman Circle. It's just routine maintenance. Does anybody have any questions? Chuck already signed it.
No questions. Make a motion to endorse.
Do I have a second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Sign and approve a Sunday entertainment license for St. John Newman Church on Sunday, May 28th.
Make a
This
motion.
is for the amusement rides for their annual,
Lakeside Festival.
yeah,
Make a motion to endorse.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Sign agreement with Stop and Shop for the use of the bypass road for the annual 4th of July parade. We do that every year. It cuts down on traffic. It's the best way to do it. So do I have a motion to approve?
Has this been through council?
Yeah,
Is there
it
any
went through
changes?
council last year.
Do we know if
There's no
there's any
changes, right?
No.
No,
It's just the date.
Okay, make a motion to endorse.
I'll second it.
all in favor? Okay, moving really quickly. Selectmen's minutes from April 18th, 2017.
I noted a correction that needed to be made on the minutes, page 10. I can't believe we had 10 pages of meeting minutes.
Right,
There was a motion by Selectman Pacheco and a second by Mr. Sadik, and I don't believe he was on the board at that time. So I think you should say Mr. Sullivan.
Okay. Do you have a motion to approve with that change?
So, I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Signed contract by gas replacement pump. Is Carlton coming for that, or?
He was, but I don't think he thought that it was gonna be this.
Okay,
We're 10 minutes in, we're almost
yeah.
there.
We'll go to the town administrator's report. How do you, okay? Jack?
Yes, earlier I sent you, 3 items. The first, the Freetown screw site update. As you know, Mass Development has agreed to amend our existing grant agreement to allow grant funds remaining to be used to evaluate the extent of the contamination and the cost to clean up the Acushnet parcel. Attached is the amended agreement and scope of services that will be carried out in the next few months. Next item is an Excel update and recommendation. I attached most recently exchanged emails relating to the delay of the sound testing and my recommendation with respect to the hearing on the secondhand merchandise use metals license for your review and consideration.
Ally, can you please, discussion about that for the next agenda, please?
Okay.
Are you guys all right with that?
What is the, what?
We're gonna
Date
have
on
to just, our next one is in 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
So the 15th?
Yeah.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
have to make a decision
By
whether we're
May
gonna extend it.
31st.
Right, so
Right.
we need to
Do we
just-
have one on the 15th though? Because I saw the
We
thing.
don't, no.
We don't, so it might be a special one.
You're gonna have to have one on the 22nd, I think.
No, we have to have one before that. We have a meeting, if we just have that one thing on the agenda, we're meeting at 5:30 anyway for the interviews, so if we meet,
On the 10th.
no, on the 15th, we have interviews for, we could do it on the 10th if you wanna do it then.
Because we have the 10th scheduled. I
We have the
believe.
10th, that's to go over all of this, budget. We have interviews on the 15th and 16th.
Well, so why don't we put it on the 15th? Because you have to just hold it to an hour. So it
What?
doesn't flow into, 15th's already booked for
Yeah, interviews.
interviews.
At 5:30. So if we meet at 5, I don't wanna discuss the whole thing, I wanna discuss that email that was sent out today, whether we're gonna extend it, give them a delay or not.
Yeah.
We need to vote on that, so. Do you wanna do that on the 15th, or you wanna do it on the 10th? Doesn't matter to me.
I'd rather give it a clean day. So, why don't we do the 10th? We'll do it, the 10th is the next
The
meeting.
10th.
Yeah, the 10th is
Why
our
don't we
next
do it the
meeting.
10th?
Okay, we'll do it on the 10th. Just that issue, not the whole issue, just, we need to, vote and make a decision on whether we're gonna extend that or not.
And please let DEP know so they can attend if they want to attend.
Okay?
All right.
Next item is the NPDES, the National Pollution Discharge Permit. They call it the small MS4 general permit for stormwater management, which is essentially an annual report. It was prepared by Lauren Moreau, and I attached that report. It was submitted this week. Please review it at your leisure. We will need to begin to spend a little bit more money and effort on making sure we're reducing the contaminants in stormwater that reach our wetland streams and other receptors going forward. And I think there's a $9,000 item that's on the list of additional items for the town meeting that you can go over. Also, you asked me to contact a bunch of people and to get the word out that trash, it's spring and trash is everywhere. Most of it was under snow at one time or another. But it's a serious problem. And I spoke with Terry Roach at Mass Highway Department, and he's going to target and prioritize those 2 exits on 24 and 140. I also sent an email, I haven't heard back yet, to Lorenzo Wood at S&S. We've contacted Naomi through Scott to see if we can't get the gang out here to attack some.
Have you heard back?
Not, well, yeah, she's,
From Naomi?
yes,
Okay.
Scott did. And he says, spoke to Naomi, she said, the starting point for a work request requires a letter directly to the sheriff's department. Naomi schedules the approved request we may want to include in the request painting labor for the schoolhouse next to town hall. So we're gonna be making that request on the trash pickup.
Okay, so you haven't directly heard from Naomi, you're just
No.
sending, okay,
Through
We-
Scott.
Well,
right,
Scott talked to Naomi, but she said you guys get a letter.
you have to, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to include the painting as part of that request?
They're gonna be doing windows, so the
Yeah.
painting won't be done until after the
Till
windows.
after the windows, yeah, probably.
You
the
guys
end of the
need to
summer.
get on schedule,
It's
Okay.
kind
all right?
of- I was with Scott on Friday, and we looked through the building, and there's a lot of nail setting also that's gonna have to be done on the tops, on the outside that I saw. There is gonna be an issue with lead paint.
You need to, yeah, we need to, include the historical commission on that as well,
Yeah.
because, they're gonna need to pick out the paint colors and all of that, so,
Can you pass those down?
yep,
Now we'll look on with doing this one.
okay.
You also,
So, wait, so let's finish, so do you wanna, we'll
Why don't we hold off from the
We'll
paint?
hold off,
Yeah.
we'll
Just
hold
do
off on the
trash.
paint, we'll just do
Okay.
trash now.
all right. And we talked about, you talked at the last meeting, I wasn't here, but about getting to all of the businesses in high-traffic areas, Circle K being one. And so I drafted up a letter, and I've already delivered one to Circle K, and we'll be sending these, or delivering them in hand to all the other spots that you
Okay.
discussed, all right?
Perfect.
It basically asked, Freetown Board of Selectmen has asked me to request your help in combating a littering problem we face in town. Please do everything you can to make it possible for your patrons to properly dispose of trash at your place of business and regularly empty trash barrels, and other containers, and police the grounds around your property to prevent litter from blowing into the neighborhood or into the street. Thank you for your anticipated help and cooperation. So, I think we covered all the things we
Perfect,
discussed.
thank you.
And to that point, just to speak real quick, I did see an employee from Circle K out with a rake, actually raking up litter on the state property. And also, I spoke to the highway surveyor, he said he had a crew out 2 days last week picking up trash on Chase Road and on South Main Street, way down by the Florida line, past the exit 8.5 turn off.
Perfect,
You know, Chuck's been busy.
good. Thank you, Jack.
You bet.
Thank you,
All
Jack.
right, I'm gonna turn it over to personnel.
Carlton's here. Carlton.
Yeah, Carlton?
Hello?
Hello?
So originally, we solicited quotes to replace the fuel pump over at the highway department. I presented materials to the board went with the lowest bidder, which was Fuel Services. And then procedurally, after that, I submitted documentation to the accountant, and she informed me under 30B that we need a contract. So I drafted a contract and sent it up for review to Copeland and Page. They said it looked pretty good, but in the alternative, they offered a contract that they use regularly, so I opted to use that. And then I delivered it to Ally, so I believe you have in front of you tonight the contract. And I think there's also an insurance page. And Fuel Services has maintained that pump for over 20 years, and the insurance that they cover includes the town as a named,
Sure.
right. So that's where,
Not surprisingly, our insurance advisor, Cabot Risk, Laura Peckham, has suggested that we require them to have more insurance. And given the history we have with these folks, that in and the insurance that they are carrying, which is substantial.
Right.
I recommend that we leave it alone, not have to go back and do something all over again.
Does the board have any questions? No? Do you have a vote?
Make a motion to endorse.
Second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Good to go.
Thank you.
Before you go, Chief, I'd like to congratulate the police department on the fact that they have been renewed for their national accreditation. And Wednesday, there'll be a ceremony when they'll be presented with that accreditation. So,
Yes, up in Dover, Massachusetts. If anybody, any members of the board or Jack would like to join us, you're more than welcome.
I'll make the trip.
What day and what time?
I think it's Wednesday,
10 a.m.
10 a.m.
In Dover?
Yeah.
No, you can't stay over.
Is Jack driving?
Oh, it's a quick trip then.
Yeah.
He'll get there quicker.
Let him turn the siren on. He
10
likes that.
minutes.
Jack, are we picking on you?
That's okay. It's all right.
All right, yeah, congratulations, I know.
Congratulations,
You worked
Chief.
hard doing that, so,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now you.
Okay, the Personnel Board only has one thing on the agenda tonight. We received a letter from the health agent regarding the Board of Health Agent salary increase request. It says, "Dear Jack, I enjoy working for the town of Freetown greatly and appreciate the challenge that my position provides me every day. Though I am grateful for the professional opportunities the town offers me, I feel my current salary does not meet the job demands. As you know, I am one of only a few department heads that manage multiple departments in town. During a routine day, I oversee the health department, which has many moving parts, such as nuisance complaints, food inspections, tobacco control, tanning, Chapter 2 housing, Title 5, emergency preparedness, camp and swimming pools. Another department I manage is the transfer station, in which I have implemented different DEP grant programs. In addition to the recycling and disposal of the materials collected, we are also subject to routine maintenance and third-party inspections. I also manage the trash and recycling collection and disposal department. Budget-wise, this is the largest of all departments, and with recent changes in our services provider to work involved to maintain customer service satisfaction has been challenging. The last department I managed is the boat ramp. In town and beach testing. This is seasonal, but still very important due to the temporary closing of the swimming pool, kids cafe. Last year, our town beach received more than normal visitors. Because of its condition at the time, we were able to coordinate sand deliveries and schedule routine cleaning. If you went by, you probably saw me raking and picking up grass and duck droppings at times. As a manager, I currently supervise 7 employees and 4 operating budgets. As a supervisor, I feel I am an effective leader, understanding and willing to work on the task at hand collectively. Additionally, we work diligently to ensure the budgets are operated correctly. As an employee, I feel I demonstrate a willingness to learn and assist whenever needed. Based on recent health agent postings, the average salary is $65,000 to $70,000 annually. According to the town compensation plan employee scale, it would only be at year 15 to reach $70,000. Before I respectfully request an increase of $2.10 more per hour, and that would translate to $67,500 annually. I strongly believe that my contribution justifies a raise in salary, because the salary level should, in parentheses, be in accordance with the industry averages. My current competence and performance. Thank you in advance. Kevin Bernardo, Health Agent, Town of Freetown. And I'd like to, Mr. Bernardo is here. Do you have anything to add or?
It's always tough to write a letter like this, without feeling like you're causing waves, but I took a look at myself and put it down on paper, and I present it to the board.
As you know, this is a bylaw that you are governed under. Under our bylaws, you are on step 1 currently, correct? You are due a step raise when?
Actually, I'm gonna hit my 3rd year, so I'm gonna get an increase July 1st.
July 1st. And then step 2 kicks in, when does that kick in?
5 years.
At 5 years. Okay. This was sent to Copeland and Page. We have a response from Copeland and Page. You should have had it in your packets. Did you get it out, Ally? The response came in this morning.
Yes.
Yeah, I read it.
Any questions, concerns that you saw in the packets, that you saw the Copeland and Page response? I don't have it in front of me. I can find it. if we need it.
So the one line in the Copeland response was really written because of vacation time, not for compensation time. So that was done because, point blankly, Scott was moving from one job to the other, and he had 5 weeks vacation, and our bylaw says that we couldn't give him 5 weeks vacation. So anyway, we thought at that time that we needed something in the bylaw to be changed, and that was really to do with more about,
Keeping the compensation he was at instead of knocking
yeah,
him down.
exactly. So the other thing is that your job description is really just Board of Health agent. Your job description really should be updated and include all your other things, so then it's done cleanly. We don't have a job description with everything that you do, and I really believe that that has to be done, because that's the only way that we can really compensate you the right way, and also compare you, because you're comparing yourselves to other, other area towns, and looking at your, what you make and what they make. And it's hard because nobody else does what you need to do, so we need to really take a look at what that is.
Right. Copeland and Page's response is, we want to change the pay scale that's in the bylaw. We'll have to go to town meeting and change it on town meeting floor. There is a caveat in there that Lisa was just alluding to, that we could bump you up on the pay scale. Doing that, though, all that's going to do is set the time between the next steps. So if we don't change the steps, change the scale, we could do something, finagle something there and not have to go to town meeting floor. But you're still going to fall in the pay steps. So if you get it up front now, you would still have to wait till year 10 to get your next kick up to step 3, 4, which he doesn't recommend, because of it then puts other departments into the same situation. You might jump ahead of other people in the department scale.
So I would say I'd like to see a new job description, and then go to town meeting and change that whole thing, and then make a separate, you know what I mean, make that scale where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we're not gonna be able to do it for this town meeting, but certainly in the fall, if that's the way the rest of, I don't know.
You could even stipend it, so when
That was my
this
other thing,
could hit
too.
the base rate, and then for the transfer stations, another $5,000 a year. For, the different job titles would get you different stipend kick-ins, and that wouldn't necessarily go through this here. So even if you gave up some of those responsibilities down the line, say you didn't want to do certain things anymore, you'd still be a health agent at the.
And he wouldn't work here.
Oh, I know that, I'm just trying to make him feel bad. No, I'm serious, I'm trying to keep it so it's equitable, because if the board chooses to take away transportation from him, the transfer station, I should say, from him, and maybe at some point gets its own department head, he shouldn't be the one that feels, because if you take that away, then his stipend would get taken away, he'd get bumped down in pay, and that wouldn't be fair to him necessarily, So I'm just trying to make it equitable for both parties.
How about, are we done? I think that's cool.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I certainly believe that Kevin has done a remarkable job, and this deserves to be looked at. I agree with your suggestion, and would be glad to work with Kevin to draft something up for you to take a look at before I leave town, if you'd like.
In reference to 3 other towns that were contacted, Lakeville's health agent makes $65,942, Rochester's health agent makes 53,962.20, and Acushnet's makes 60,784.
I think
So
we need to take a look at.
you, as health agent, I think you're fairly paid. It's the other jobs that you do
Right.
It's the other
have to
job,
where
right.
that maybe you should be compensated more for.
I know in Westport, Rehoboth, they make almost 7. So I guess it's depending where you're looking.
Right, obviously.
Yeah.
You want to compare to towns our size, and,
Yeah.
you know, Somerset's gonna be bigger, they're gonna have more responsibilities. Fall River, New Bedford, they're probably gonna make 100,000 a year, so.
Yeah.
No, I think we should look at it and see where it is. So do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we have town administrator sit down with Mr. Bernardo, come up with a realistic job description and possibly a survey or a study of salaries, so we can adjust the salary as need be.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So
That
carries
fair?
unanimously.
Yeah, it's very.
It's not gonna be done for this fall,
We don't have-
annual town
we
meeting,
don't
but it'll be
have
done by the fall, and it'll be done the right way. Then that way it's clean, you know what I mean?
It's more than fair, I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You have something else.
Well. Where is it? Let's see.
You can't.
Have a good night.
Good night, thank you, Kevin.
I didn't see it in my packet.
It's on the agenda, but it's the first thing. It just says discuss.
All right, so
So
on the agenda, it says discuss, what is it? Discuss
town administrator's position
position.
and posting.
Okay. We're still open, we're still taking applications. We got one again this morning.
We need to close it at some
I was
point.
just gonna say, what's the board's pleasure on closing it? Do we have quality applicants in?
You have,
Do we have anybody meets the minimum requirements?
yes,
So by law?
I believe you have three.
3 now?
3 applicants that meet the requirements.
Okay.
We can place this on executive session for the next meeting. It has to be done in executive,
The
so,
closing has to be done exactly?
no, we can close it, but
Correct. Do we wanna close it now with the 3, or do you wanna leave it a little open more?
we can
How
leave it.
about if we close it for?
Or do you wanna set a date?
How about this? How about we talk about it in executive session the next time we review the applicants and we decide if we wanna close it.
So we'll leave it open, we'll discuss the applicants in
Yeah.
executive session
Yep.
to see if anybody meets the qualifications, and
Yep.
then
Decide.
decide then
decide.
we'll,
Yeah.
whether to close it or not. I think that's a good,
Is that
so
good?
we'll take no action tonight then.
Okay. All
And that'll be it for personnel board. Sorry.
right, so we'll take a recess until 7.
Motion to recess till 7 PM.
Do you have a second?
Well, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Reconvene our Board of Selectmen's meeting and call it back to order. And the same people are reporting. And now we have the water commissioners in front of us. Are you guys open in your meeting as well? Their meeting is opened, and Mr. Sadik is taping the meeting as well. All right, so we're just gonna hop right into the water department in their articles. So I guess the first article is the $3 million for design, permitting, and construction of the Department of Environmental Protection, required upgrades to the South Main Street water treatment and filtration system. Do you guys want to talk to us about that? Because the last time we met, I thought we were breaking it up into pieces, and now it's back to 3.
The last time we met, good.
Yeah, Ryan was here.
The last time we met, it was gonna be all in one, and now that they, Ryan Strahan went and talked to what, the Attorney General, is that who he talked to?
No, I think it was Kim that talked to the Attorney General.
No.
Was it Kim? It was
No,
Ryan.
it was Ryan.
It was Ryan.
It was Ryan.
And he said that we could buy the equipment separately, and then the rest of the stuff would be at a different portion. So we have two pieces, but the total's still
Total, still $3 million.
the same. It's just that we don't have to have a operator, not an operator, but
A project manager.
superintendent, project
Project
manager.
manager.
Owner's project
Yeah.
manager.
Yeah, we
Yes.
don't have to have a project manager if we buy it in two sections.
You're breaking up labor and materials.
Well, we were gonna buy the major equipment and then the installation.
That's what the attorney, the general's office said.
If they would allow it.
Right, but now I'm thinking if they read this warrant article, it looks like it's the 3 million and that they may bounce it back, because all of these warrant articles have to go through the Attorney General too.
We're still borrowing 300,000, $3
Yeah,
million.
but should we, I think the point is, should we split it up into two articles?
Two
The way you wanna
articles.
split it up for your submission to cover the Attorney General's, wherever Ryan suggested we should split it, should we do that, do the articles that way?
I think so,
We can do that.
because I think they're gonna see this 3 million and they're gonna say, that's not what we
That's
discussed.
one project instead of
Right,
So we're gonna do 2 articles?
two articles.
Let's split the amount.
so split it
Whichever
the way
way.
it's supposed to be split.
Yeah, we're
Right.
Yeah, the trigger, it's
I think you said
1.5
that-
million.
What, didn't you say the 600,000
You know what the
for
cost is for the equipment?
the pipes?
We
right?
have it.
The
We have all the
600,000 for the
information.
pipes and then the rest of it. And
Yeah.
the other thing is that, do you have a footprint of the building? Because I have not
We
seen
haven't gone
one.
that far.
You haven't, okay, all right.
We have nothing.
That's the other thing. There wasn't there really three sec parts to it, what maintenance to what not maintenance, but fixing what's there in place,
Upgrade.
upgrading the line that's in place.
That's only to get the filters going. We can turn them on if we need to.
I thought you were talking about upgrading the line itself to a bigger line.
The bigger line.
That would be in the new facility, instead of having
In the facility.
4-inch lines, they're gonna go to 8-inch lines,
Right.
with bigger filters.
So that's not in the 3 million, is it?
That's
Yes.
included. in the
Yeah, that's in the
So
3
you wanna
million.
split that out separate also, or?
No, that's all, that's the
That's the
mechanical
mechanical part of it, that's what I thought. So the, changing the pipe size is the mechanical
That's
part
all part
of
of the new
it. That was
filter.
about 600,000?
Well, there's, yeah, but then there's the pipes, then there's the filters,
Right,
and then there's other things that constitute the hardware part of it.
The injectors, the
Not-
chlorine.
But you're not over the 1.5 with that part of it, it's when you go to the other part of
It's
it.
the building that can't be over 1.5.
Okay, so you're gonna split up between the two.
Right.
Ryan had it all laid out, how we wanted to
We
split it.
have the figures, we just don't have them.
Hey, I think you guys got copies of all that
Yeah.
stuff too.
I'm sure we do,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, so the same article, 2 articles the same with just different figures.
Right. The other question is, do you want to carry some of that out of capital stabilization?
yeah, I think the size of the pipe, the increase of the pipe should come out of capital stabilization. Only because I really feel like that's better for the whole town. You understand? Now we can increase business, we can look at it that way. So that's what I was thinking on that part of it. I don't know, how the other part of this is gonna be paid, or what the bond rates are. I don't know what you're looking at. Do you have any idea?
The last bond rate that I
Yeah.
checked on was 3.75. The treasurer checked on that for me about 2 months ago.
So that's probably up, because we had an increase.
That was 2 months ago. That's probably the going rate for the municipality, 3.75, maybe 4.
I know the Fed met in March, and they bumped a 1/4%,
Yeah.
1/4 point in March, so. We'll have to have a new number.
So,
Do they have a separate article on the,
what was the sum you wanted to come out
on the
of,
chlorine
stabilization?
injection?
We don't
No.
know until they,
well, okay,
We won't know, but I think the last time we were all talking, it was 600,000,
stabilization.
capital stabilization.
the infrastructure improvements, the line and all that stuff, whatever that number is, that's the one we'll put it out of capital stabilization. We have currently, I think, 1.5 in capital stabilization.
Something like
No,
that.
you got a lot more than that.
Do we?
Yeah.
In capital?
Yep, hang on.
Kim, what are the figures?
In capital stabilization, it's 2.199, 2,199,000.
2 point what?
2.199404.
Yeah.
55 cents.
So we can take that right out of there.
Yeah, well, I think that makes sense.
All right. Questions? Questions? So can you redo those and then submit those to us and we'll see what they look like?
Yep.
Also, are you guys comfortable with that being paid for? How are we paying for this?
Well, I think it should be a little bit of deep discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm not real firm on any one way of thinking that you might have to come up with some new ways of developing revenue on some of the people. I'm thinking of maybe, should we impose some type of a betterment tax on people who develop, people who are actually getting some benefit from the hydrant, from the water lines.
You mean the businesses?
Well, not only businesses, but people in general. There are people who are, the water line goes by their property and they aren't connected to it.
Mm-hmm.
They have that betterment. They go to sell their home. They have that benefit. They are getting a benefit from having a fire hydrant close by, where other people, like people on Carpenter's Lane, would never have a fire hydrant anywhere near them, that type of thing. I think we need to study that a little bit. I'm not saying fund everything from it, but see what revenue could be reasonably developed from that to go to this project, and to go to the water development itself.
Right.
I'll hold off on them. Also, it's hand.
Go ahead. Oh, sorry.
I think betterment tax can only be used on new construction, not on existing people. I don't believe you can use it on existing people.
Well, I think that's something we can look into, get a definite answer from.
I know on septic you can, because it happened to me in another town. They put a septic line by my residence that I owned over there, and property, I should say, that I owned over there, and they made me charge, even though I had an active septic system, they made me charge.
Yeah, that's.
But that might be,
That's new
That's-
construction.
If you had an
It was
active-
existing.
If you had wells, like, and you came down the road, and you
New
didn't wanna
construction of the
tie
line, you
in,
mean.
you still get hit with the betterment.
Yeah.
That's what happened on Water Street, that's what happened
Right.
on Pleasant Street,
um,
that's on new construction.
where I agree with Charlie and where I disagree with Charlie is, we have to negotiate rates on volume, and the more we use, the higher the rates are. And I can see that we have a couple of large commercial properties that are using a lot of water. And I don't necessarily think they should be paying the same rate as the person that's using it for their domestic drinking water. To put it on the back of the person, of, an elderly person that's on a fixed income that's, uses the water because they have to versus a large corporation that's using the water, but just for profit reasons, I don't think that necessarily should be the same rates. As far as betterments, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of betterments. I mean, the town is gonna be the one paying the bill no matter whether we do this or not, so.
I think there is an issue with people who
A fine,
who are going to get a benefit out of this, at least in the near future. And those people who have the likelihood of them ever having anything to do with the water, and if they're gonna pay the same amount that people who already have water or have access to water, I don't think that that's a fair thing for them either. I'm not in favor of putting all of this on the ratepayers that we have now, but we have to realize that these people who are not ever gonna have benefit from it. Well, I shouldn't say not ever, but in our lifetime.
I understand with what everybody's saying. I think we talked, hold on, Paul. I think we talked before about looking into a business water rate versus a residential water rate. I think we talked about that the last time, and we were gonna look into doing something like that. I agree that it has to be done, but I'm not sure necessarily, and that's why I think that breaking it up into two is a good way to go, and taking a large chunk out of that, out of the capital stabilization, is the right thing to do, because I think, like I said before, businesses come in, the whole town benefits off of having increased benefits, when a business comes in. I don't necessarily want the whole burden to be on just the water people, but I don't necessarily want it to be on the whole town as well, because my well breaks, no one's gonna fix it but me. So that's, you know, it has to be fair to both sides of the situation, and I think that we've come to that central location before and ironed out some details, and I don't think that's gonna be a hard thing. It needs to pass, and if you have people in the audience that are not on the water, they're not gonna pass this, cause it's coming out of their taxes, and the first thing I'm gonna say is, I don't get water, why should I have to? Well, we have to, because we're gonna be in non-compliance, and it's gonna end up, you know, being a big thing anyway. Well done, George. So I think that we have to come up, I don't even know what the figures are. Like I said, I don't know what the bond rate is, I don't know how much per tax household, I have no idea. I haven't seen any of those things yet.
I have those for you.
Okay. So I think that we need to figure out before we go into town meeting where this money is gonna be coming from. Go ahead, Paul. And then George, your second.
Also, Water Commissioner, listen, I like Charlie's idea, because if you don't use the water, you shouldn't be charged for it. I don't use the school system. I shouldn't be paying for the school system.
Well, I don't agree with you there, Paul.
Well, I know you don't agree with me, but it's the same premise.
Well, I
The problem-
don't think it's the
I'm
same.
not gonna debate it with you.
Well,
I'm just
but I
stating
think,
my
well,
opinion.
Paul, you brought it up, okay, we all.
No, you
we-
brought it up.
No,
Easy, guys.
all
Go
I'm
ahead,
saying
Charlie.
is this, is that there's an element of the issue that says that there are people who are not going to, in the clear future, have any benefit from this water improvement. We all have benefit from schools, whether we have children in the school department, whether we ever had children there, because everybody goes out and works, attributes to the economy, attributes to taxation. So I don't believe you're right there, Paul. But what my thing is this, I think we have to come up with a funding solution that is fair to everyone. Okay, I'm not saying that the general taxpayer, like Lisa said, shouldn't participate. But to put this all on taxpayers, some of which are never, it's like, as if they never were near a road, okay? Which is, you know, there's an issue here that we have to address.
Okay, can I continue?
Yes.
Let's look back at the history of the water. There used to be a water department, and then it still is a water and sewer department now. But the accounting for that is in an enterprise fund. That doesn't take the responsibility of the water department and the sewer department away from the town. It's still a town department. Now, if you look back in history, and let's look on East Freetown side, the people over there have water because their wells got contaminated. Almost everybody in East Freetown, water was contaminated by basically by the state. And then we had the issue on Brayley Road in the Cape Verdean community where the town was sued, and because the town was in a situation where they had to come up with they had to agree because they were going to lose the case, and we had to build a pumping station and everything else. That was a town issue. That was long before it was an enterprise fund, okay? But what happened when the enterprise fund came over, that cost got charged to all the customers. That's been reversed. Secondly, over in Asonet, think about Asonet. Most of the people from the industrial area down, past Stop and Shop down, anybody that has water, you have Asonet Bay Shores, all the wells got contaminated in the storm. You got Pleasant, all the way up North Main Street because of the fuel leak at the top of the hill. And some of the people on Water Street and Pleasant Street. That's why there's water there. None of these people ask for water. Now, it's true that the businesses use a lot of water. But are you going, the businesses also pay a tax rate of 1.43 compared to the resident that pays 1. All right? That's a big difference. So you're gonna put more on the businesses also? Look, this is a problem that's been going on for 10 years. DEP, when we first put the filter sites in, the filter site, that was a temporary issue. We had a review by DEP, the same one that we just had, 3 years ago. The Water Commission never brought that to the Board of Selectmen. We got a copy of the report, but there was never any discussion. And when you talk to people that were involved in it, it's because we're an enterprise fund, we can't afford to fix this. Well, when we talked to DEP, we met with DEP 3 times now up in Lakeville. You talked to them, in the first meeting, we said, we're an enterprise fund. What do you mean you're an enterprise fund? You only got 600 customers. You shouldn't be an enterprise fund. They said, you can't run a water system with 600 customers. It's a town issue. And hopefully, once this issue, we don't have any issues in East Freetown. The water coming out of New Bedford is fine. Fall River, they got a THM problem, right? And they're working on it just like we've been working on it. We wouldn't have to filter this stuff if we didn't have that issue. But, I mean, this is something that 3 years ago DEP was gonna put the hammer down. Now, all of a sudden, unfortunately, we got new members on the board, and we're held responsible for the chaos that's going on now with the water. Now, I don't think it's fair at all to try to put this cost on 600 customers. I just listened to the finance committee upstairs. Oh, you get 600 customers. Maybe we can do this on the 400 in Asona. This is a town of Freetown problem. What we really should do is get rid of the enterprise fund and consider this a regular town department. But that's another day, another story. But, you know, it's not fair. And if you think you're gonna be able to put any of this cost on the ratepayers of 600 people that never wanted water, they only have water because they were forced into it, that's gonna be a hard sell. That's what I have to say. I think we should really bite the bullet and take care of this problem. Once we fix it, if we have to fix it, once we fix it, it's done.
Well, we do have to fix it.
We
George?
have to fix it one way or another. You know, we may be able to fix it without doing this, but we don't know
We
that.
don't know yet.
But when will you know that?
Oh, it'll be a year or two.
Well, we'll see what happens by June,
So,
when the filters come on. But we have to have a plan in place. DEP mandates by November, we have a plan to fix this facility.
We can't even turn those
We
filters
can't turn,
on.
this is, I'm talking about the big facility. Just to turn on our filters, we have to and we gotta invest about $66,000.
All right, so what's the, sorry, Charlie, what's the first step? The first step is the 66?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's the first step. That has to be done no matter what,
No matter
right?
what.
No
Okay.
matter
No what?
All right, once that's done, we give you the 66, you get the filtration system.
Well, it's there now, we get the chemicals set up the way they're supposed to be
Right,
set up.
then what happens? Then DEP comes back in, tests the water, or they
Well, no,
go,
we gotta be in compliance. And Kevin, this is your turn.
go ahead.
You're the expert on the
After,
compliance.
I give you the 66, not we, okay. And then you get everything done, what's the next step?
We can turn the filters on
Okay,
and
and,
continue to provide water that meets the drinking water standards to the customers.
okay, but then,
That's it.
What's the next step after that, as far as whether putting the new site in place, getting the building up, doing all that stuff? What's after that?
Well, DEP has mandated, the temporary site where it is now is not secure, it's, you know, in a little plastic shed, it's all of that. They mandated that we put up a building with fencing around it and all this new stuff in the building, either at the present site or at the possible new site. So they've said, hey, you know, either you do it or we start to fine you, and they said up to $1,000 a day. So we're against a rock and a hard spot. We're trying not to do it, but we have to go back to them and say, hey, we've got the funding, we've got the plans and the whole thing.
But if we don't have to use it, well, what a wonderful thing that would be.
Why would you not have to use it?
Because they're allowing us to try some bleeding. And if that breaks down the THMs over the summer, they're not gonna force us into the building. However, if that doesn't work, they want plans by, on their, I think it's is it November? November, that this is the plan because we have to deal with the THMs.
And here's, and you have to
So
have the
because of the
funding
new
in place.
contract with the bleedings and the new pits and all that stuff, they're gonna let you do a test over the summer to see if you
Yes.
meet THMs
But we're gonna
with or
start-
without
we're
filters.
gonna
It's
start
all
this-
amazing.
We started a water age analysis already, it started last week, and the idea is that they take a water sample, figure out what the THMs are, test for THMs, let it sit there a day, take a test, a week, take a test. Then they can come up with a model for, you know, what the THM growth would be in our systems relative to age in our system.
Prior to the chlorine being released by Florida. So you're doing it as a baseline now?
This is no filters, inbound from Florida, utilizing, I don't wanna call it raw water because it's treated water.
I understand. But for all intents and purposes,
Yeah,
raw.
and we are bleeding, or we will be bleeding and flushing accordingly. The idea is if it's a lower inbound number, we can keep that water flowing, decrease the residence time in the pipes, the THMs don't have the chance to grow, and we can stay in compliance. Westport has been successful. Westport was forced with a very similar issue in that their THMs were through the roof. They were gonna go with an aeration system. It's rather costly, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was $2 million or something, it was rather costly. DEP has taken a stance that this is an allowable way to mitigate your THM issues by bleeding and keeping the water moving. They've then said to us and encouraged us to try that, we're trying that now. At best case, the end of May, when our first permit application is due, when I say first permit application, that refers to the necessary upgrades at our existing filter site. Okay, it's called a Chapter 6 Critical Chemical Compliance. We hope to have the water aging model done by then. That should have given us enough time, and hopefully we can provide some of that information to DEP so that we can continue utilizing a flushing program. You know, I will note that it was only 1 or 2 weeks last year that inbound THMs were over the 80, which is the limit, and it's 80 parts per billion, so let's, you know. But because age of water in our system, I know some of you people have heard this song and dance, but because of the age in our system, once it gets past our busier business section, the flow decreases. So your THMs can grow. So if we can keep water flowing, in theory, if it's good coming in, we'll have good water at the end.
Kevin, is this your schedule of when you're gonna do bleedings, or is this something the state says, we recommend you do bleedings every 3 days, every 2 days, every so many gallons, and then you follow there to get the amount?
No, the idea, that's a flushing plan, and we have an approved flushing plan. Bleeding is different, where it's basically, in conjunction with the city of Fall River, through our contract, we have been allotted 220,000 gallons per day that we can flush. Currently, our system uses 100 to 120,000 gallons of water a day, depending on time of year. So yes, we'll be moving a lot of water. It also helps Fall River with their THMs. I mean, moving water helps.
Fall River's got a thing going, they're trying to improve the incoming water to us.
It would be
so-
nice.
So if they do that and this all works,
Well, again, to give credit,
we don't know.
to give credit where credit is due, we've gone from 2 or 3 years ago, call it 3 years ago, middle of August, 180 inbound. Chewing through our filters, medium. Last year, the highest was in the low 80s, if I'm not mistaken. And again, it was only for 1 week in August. Now, we test every couple weeks, so we have a pretty good, all that information has been provided to DEP. They agree with our course of action. They agree with everything that Environmental Partners is doing. They have a very good working relationship with DEP, so I have all the confidence in the world in EPG that they're going to do everything they can to save us money and keep us in compliance.
They see that we're sincere and they're trying to work with us. And we've been there, we've had a lot of meetings there up in Lakewood. So they know we're sincere, they know we want to cooperate with them, so they're trying to help us out.
but they did put the hammer down in November. You gotta have
If you read it, if you look at the contract that we have with Fall River, they really, with the 220,000 gallons that we can bleed, you know, a day. I mean, they're working with us also.
Yeah.
We met with a lot of meetings with them too. I mean, we must have had 6 or 7 meetings with
We
Fall
were
River.
just here about 3 weeks ago.
George, you had something?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
what we did, we took all the data from the water department, and I'll just go down to the bottom line. I won't go through all the detail because it'll take a little time. But Charlie had a spreadsheet, I can give you more.
Right here.
Oh, you have it? Okay. If you go, the second group of numbers from the bottom.
From the bottom.
From the bottom.
Increased cost per average user?
Yeah, increased annual cost per average user to cover the bond payment. Assuming the bond payment is, the bond is gonna be $3 million, okay? We did it at 3, 3.5, and 4% over 5 years to 20 years. So you can pick any of those numbers. And if you look at the residential, what the increase in residential would be, it would be at 3% over 20 years would be $18 a year. 4% over 20 years would be $29.81 a year. If you went for a 5-year bond, it's $300 and change, depending on the percentage per year. So you can see it's not a huge burden on a residential user, because most of the burden will fall on commercial, and you have the numbers there. And one of the reasons it comes down so much is because our volume is increasing. We're going to be getting a large, I think it's 35% or something like that, discount on volume. And if we keep the rates as they are today, and all these numbers are keeping the rates the same, commercial pays the same as residential. You could put a shift on that if you wanted to. But anyway, I'll call it the profit will pay for most of the bond. And like Charlie said, I don't think it would be fair to take a $3 million bond and add that to the budget, because if you went out and you did a debt exclusion, you were in fact adding $3 million to your budget. So, if you have any questions on that?
Go ahead, Charlie.
George,
Yes.
the user number, that's 404, where does that come from?
That came from the water department.
Okay, yeah,
It's just
That's a Sony users only.
The Sony users.
Oh, right, East
42
Freetown has
commercials
nothing
and
to do with it.
362 residential, is that right? Is that what you had?
Yeah.
how many commercial users are on the New Bedford line for?
Well, they're not on there. That-
I realize that.
250.
No, we don't have any, we have any.
Oh, commercial, there's no commercial.
We don't have any.
You don't?
What was the
there's no-
question, Charlie?
Commercial users, who we have in East?
In East Freetown?
Oh,
Yeah.
heat transfer? No. Commercial, heat transfer?
Heat transfer, Crossroad Commons, the gas station,
Westgate.
donuts,
Westgate.
Yeah,
VFW,
but they're not.
yeah, we got a whole bunch of, well, we separated out in residential, and
Right.
everything else is
Well,
considered
Okay,
commercial.
so if we're gonna do it all the same, we're not gonna have apples and oranges.
But what you need to look at, Charlie, is that 77%, I believe, of the water usage is commercial.
Right, okay. All right, I'm just,
Hold on,
One,
hold on.
all I was
Gary
asking
wants
is,
to see.
I just want to have that, we have a full picture, okay.
The assumption on this is that the entire cost of the financing would be on the Sonnet users. It doesn't take into account anything from East Freetown.
Thank you, Jack, and then Paul. Jack?
No, just went by it. We, in Westport, we used environmental partners as well. And I think part of the reason that DEP is going along with this plan is that environmental partners has been shown to be able to make this work in Westport. So there's hope.
Okay, Paul?
I disagree with only using 400 customers, just the Usonic people, because we've got a water system for the town. So even if, he's showing you how low the figures are, but when you put that across the whole town, it's minuscule. It is minuscule, but the benefit that you derive from new companies coming in and paying taxes is given to everybody that pays taxes in the entire town. You should not be balancing the cost of this on 600 customers or 400 customers, and everybody in the town gets benefit of all these new companies that are coming in that are gonna be using more water. It's not right. The other thing is that, this will be a hard sell. This will be a hard sell to put it on 600 customers, because I'm sure many of them are gonna show up at the town meeting. Because, I mean, as a water commissioner, it's my responsibility to let my customers know what's gonna happen. And they're not gonna be happy to bear the cost of this project. A project that hopefully we won't be able to even have to do. If all goes well with the bleeding issue, this is all gonna go away.
Do you think you'll have that by June, by the June meeting?
Well, to know for sure?
Yeah, no.
No, because we won't.
It's gonna be a study.
We've got environmental partners putting together a plan of how much we're gonna have to bleed every day at what locations. Once we start doing that, if these THMs go down, then we're gonna be good.
So,
So why do this now? Why
can
not
I,
just
yeah,
wait?
can we wait till the fall town meeting?
That's
Can
what I
we
was
do the
wondering.
66 now
November.
and wait till the fall town meeting for the,
The 66, in my opinion, has to be done.
You
no
have to.
no question about it.
Because you can't turn on the filters in
can't do anything without that.
July if you
Right.
don't have that.
Can we do the 66 now?
What do you think? You know the guys better than we do at DEP.
I mean, they said at DEP we had to have everything in place by November.
Right.
If what we're doing now works, that's fine, but if
We
not.
gotta be ready to go.
We have to be able to prove that this $66,000 isn't gonna be our Band-Aid and we're gonna go with this is our permanent solution to it. So we have to show some sort of movement, I think.
And we're lucky we're getting away with
So why not do
this,
the 66 and the 660 for the,
because
That's
they're
not-
letting us slide on the building until we can find out. They're letting us get away without a building, which they demanded at first, until we can get this,
Study done.
well, get everything in place, other words. And then they're gonna let us do the study, but they wanna make sure that we've got the funding, everything is ready to go in case it falls through.
Does the 600,000 portion of it, does that include engineer design, all that stuff for the building, for the injection systems and all that?
No, that's just the equipment.
Where's the money for that coming?
It's all within 3 million.
I understand that part of it.
But the,
If we stayed walking, going down the path, so if we have the 600, the part we have right now in capital stabilization that we're looking at putting through capital stabilization, if we do that, and we include in their building design also, so if this doesn't work out through the summer months and we do have to go and ask for the rest of the money from the town, we would still be able to present to DEP, listen, this is what we're doing, here's the design for the building, here's the design for everything we already do. All we need now is the money to actually build the building, which would come in the October town meeting. The October town meeting would be appropriated. We haven't lost any time because all that stuff we have to do, site stuff we have to do, we can get done between now and then. If we don't have to expend that money in October town meeting, we
then
don't.
we're done, right.
But if we do, then we get the money in October town meeting, November 1st, we can show them and say, hey, here's all the plans, we just appropriated the money, we're starting construction Tuesday. Obviously, it won't be that quick, but you know what I'm saying? Do you think that would follow the plan
Yeah, I mean,
and
we're-
satisfy
I
DEP?
The fact of the matter is, this project, if we have to build a new facility, it's 18 months to 2 years from the day we say,
Right.
we need to build.
But we're not stopping and starting this way.
So my point is, we have to keep the existing site into closest to compliance as possible.
Absolutely.
So to your point, yes, it's necessary to get that 66. I think DEP would be happy to see that we're committing funds, we're committing a warrant article, that kind of deal, to go forward. Pushing it off to November, our November is our timeline, we're gonna work hard to do that. We may get to that point in time and figure out that, you know what, our bleeding works. DEP says, listen, if you can stay on a bleeding and monitoring program, we're not gonna force you to put in. And worst case scenario is if you have to, and given the certain circumstances, you have the old existing site that can get you by, in an emergency. But the big question is, can we meet that burden? And additionally, what's the future growth? You know, that's the problem with our filter site now. It
We
needs to
have no,
accommodate.
we have no growth left there. If, as it stands now, when this new business comes in, I doubt we're gonna be able to keep water pressure. We're gonna be, backflow preventers are gonna be popping everywhere if we have to keep using the filters. We only have 4-inch filters. We need at least 8-inch
Right.
filters.
Right, that's,
Because if we open a hydrant now, our pressure goes from 60 pounds to less than 20 pounds. If we open on the other side of the filters when they're in.
all right.
So then we had to put a special valve in, what we're doing now, so that it automatically puts us, if a fire happens and they have to turn their sprinklers on automatically, that this valve will switches direct onto Fall River water. And, you know, we'll worry about PHMs after.
All right, so why don't we do this? The 66 will stay on, right? Where you're gonna look to break up the warrant article, and maybe we'll just do it, right, we'll just do the first part of it, the,
But we don't have to expend the money.
right, if we, right, we understand that. Just separate this warrant article out, do the 600,000, it was around that, that's why I keep throwing that number out.
Put
We have that number.
I
Yeah.
think they should also put design,
Right, so
Site
put that,
design.
so use more or less this, but make the amount smaller, and then, once we have the summer figure out if we're gonna need it, then we'll make sure that we put it on for the fall town meeting. At that time, though, we'll have a better understanding of what the bond rate's gonna be, how much it's gonna cost per taxpayer, because I'm gonna tell you, you go up on town floor and don't have those figures, no one's gonna buy anything, because people wanna know how much it's gonna cost. So, I know.
I hope that
I hope we don't need it
we
too.
don't need it.
Right.
Can you imagine what?
So let's just do it in those steps, and I think that we're all right, we'll be okay with that. Are you okay? Yes, okay. All right, I don't think I have any other questions for the water department, do you?
no, I think
The
it's
other
just transfers.
The other article is just, enterprise
Well,
fund
that
stuff, so I don't have any
Yeah, well,
questions
we
on
had,
that.
That's the 65-9 is in there.
That's the 66 we're just talking about.
Yeah, that's one
65.
we're just, yeah, so that's
gonna stay
fine.
in.
and we had a $300 fine set prior year.
Yep,
bill.
that's fine, yeah, that's nothing.
Okay.
All right,
All right.
Kim, do you have, what do we have for free cash? Please.
17,694.
Okay, thank you. All right. Absolutely.
Help yourself.
Honest
That's
to
it.
God.
Hey, Brad,
There's a
you want some
betterment
jelly
tax on
beans?
that, man.
It's a dollar.
It's making your breath better, there's a betterment.
No, you can have that one,
All
I'll
right,
pay the
we're all
10%.
set. You guys can know.
His name was-
Sure.
If you want to.
Conservation, you said we're gonna be
Conservation.
next?
I'm not saying
You guys wanna come up to the table, or you guys wanna just sit, you know, it's easier to work with, I think.
Better when we sit down. Sit over here. Not free cash.
Oh, no.
No, thank you. I don't eat jelly belly. It's good enough for Reagan, so we'll have to be holy now.
They were only giving away rocks.
Please don't let me fight this. Just trying to clean it. If you wanna find the town meetings, they're on. Yeah, right. Go here, that's supposed to say go to government, yeah, click on Freetown. You can watch the town meeting, it should have a whole breakdown, right?
Yes,
Do you want one?
I'm passing them out, you taking notes?
I am taking notes.
Okay, Conservation Commission, 171.
He has to
That's computer.
All right.
You guys all set?
Yeah.
170.
Yep, 171.
Have a good night, guys. Taking the rest of the week off, right? Just straight while the iron's out. That's at a race.
All right, Kev, what's up?
Sure.
You called me.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Hi. How are you feeling better?
I am now. No, I can't.
I don't know, there was a question on on the increase in your budget.
$1,000.
1159 Porta John
I
rental.
don't understand.
That's probably a start. 1159 Porta John rental.
Oh, yeah.
1779, yes. We have to test the water at the beach now. Water health requirements that we test the water.
Porta Pasture.
Yep.
Well, it says Porta John rental, so you also putting.
We've been renting Porta Johns for the last 5 years. I don't know why.
So that's not an increase?
No.
No, the money just moved from one line to another.
Yeah. It's
So
just
we're
the,
getting paid for out of advertising, I think, and now it's getting paid for out of
Yeah.
purchase services.
well, they had a big sticker on the
So you should have run Porta Johns out of
side.
advertising? Is that what you're saying?
Either Joe's, So that's it. The only, the increase for the budget, we provided a copy of the letter, that I received from the Board of Health, and I actually think the state law that says all municipalities are required to test all their public beaches and all private associations. So they're going Sonnet Bay Shores, Heaven Heights, places like that. We test Long Pond as a town. We've gotten away with not testing Border Pastures, but the DEP, it's, Google Earth is a wonderful thing. They've identified some areas where we've been, I guess, lacking in testing.
They found the beach we were hiding.
They found the beach we were hiding.
Do the residents know that beach is there?
Right. So, one goes hand in hand. We'll never pass the coliform testing if we don't have the Porta Johns down there. So,
No lifeguards?
no, there's no lifeguards. No. And I don't see very many people swimming there, but because there is water access and it's open to do that activity, the state requires it.
We used to have lifeguards, but nobody uses it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't.
Just saying a sign that says no swimming.
That,
A lot of the
yeah,
Board of
I said that, put up a sign that says no swimming.
Went by them once.
I think they're wise to that. So that's it.
Okay,
That-
I'm all set.
Did I pass? All right. Can I get 1 second of your time? I'm remiss. I should have said something during the public discussion earlier.
Okay.
I'd like to give a big shout out to those members of the Cultural Council that put on the Easter egg hunt this year. They did an absolutely phenomenal job. Ally was the impetus of this whole deal. It was her idea. She's right in the back row here. Ally Goltz, our administrative
The
assistant.
one with the bright red face right
Right.
now.
Zoom in tight.
You lost the Easter bunny though.
My wife is also involved, played an important role in this. I took a back seat. I was just MC and muscles. Well, I was there. But again, shout outs to Republic donating some stuff. Their Stop and Shop donated the candy. Texas Roadhouse donated, I believe, 400 gift certificates and eggs. Dunkin' Donuts was very helpful. Joel showed up and provided everybody with pictures. So when folks showed up to this free event, and I know I'm speaking a little bit more than a minute, but I can't tell you the amount of pride I have in the town when you have good folks get together and put on something good for the community. It was just an outstanding time. We had 100 children there, probably about 300 total people. The Easter Bunny was there, so these folks showed up for free. They got an Easter egg hunt, they got Easter games, they got to meet and take pictures with the Easter Bunny. Pictures were provided for free. Very large bag of free candy. Donuts, entertainment, Johnny Angel was there, we had a couple of golden eggs, it was just a great time. So, I know we're going through budgets and everybody's, but I can tell you that, aside from some of those things, we have a great community, and I'm very, very proud. So Ally, you have something to be very, very proud of. Good for you.
Thank you.
All right, folks, have a good night. Thank you for indulging me.
He was shy, I was trying to get him to break out of his shell, but once he got talking.
All right, town administrator.
Yeah. You have to spend some money in this community.
Maybe. Probably should. 125. Right, first page.
That was the whole, right?
Yeah.
You've been getting by with $50,000 to $60,000 for the last 3 years, again, and that's not likely to continue past the end of this fiscal year. But, so I used the number 125,000 because that's what communities this size are paying on average.
Is this because you're leaving?
Huh?
This is because you're leaving.
Isn't there a bylaw?
Right.
Sorry. That's today. Wait, that's right. That's right. Going for part-time.
But it's
I
really
think I-
kind of high, and some of
Yeah,
this
well-
stuff is already buried, like the town administrative dues. So some of this stuff is within the 125. I mean, the 125 is a package. The 125 isn't just salary, I would think, when I look at it, the 125 is a package. So you also have town administrator dues and memberships for 1,500, town administrator insurance surety, 1,750. I mean, in-state travel, 2,000, trainings and seminars, 2,000. So some of that is within that 125.
Well, the seminars and attending conferences and so forth, that's something that you want them to do.
I understand, but it's, to me, it's part of the 125.
Well, I don't think we're gonna get somebody for a salary.
I think you carry a number and hope for the best.
What?
You know?
No,
What'd you say?
I don't think we're gonna get somebody to be a town administrator for under $125,000.
I'm not, right, I agree, but 125 is
Total package.
a total package.
Not
Because
just,
otherwise,
not
if you're
just
gonna do-
salary, 125.
Right, if you're gonna do 125 plus, then you're not talking 125 anymore, you're talking more like
50?
yeah. That's not gonna happen either.
Well,
I don't see you getting a town administrator for a salary of less than $125,000.
Okay, but when you, well,
I understand, Lisa, that there's other expenses for the town administrator, such as dues and so forth. But I'm saying, if you're talking, I'm talking that, my thing would be that the salary would be $125,000 pay. And then, my understanding is saying that the $125,000 that we should put for town administrator is everything, all his costs. Is that all their costs, not his costs, but their costs?
the
Is that what you're
125
saying?
should be a package, yes.
It's at your cost. Right?
What?
It's at your cost.
I think what you're trying to say, Charlie, is that we won't get a quality person.
Right. I mean, we might, but I think that, it's kind of like when we go back to the water issue. We gotta put money up front, hoping that, we can come in, but I don't see you, I think it's realistic to say that a salary for a town administrator of $125,000 is we should realistically budget.
Jack, did you do a survey of
Yes,
towns
I
our
did.
size, and
I did.
what did they come in at?
That's why that number's there.
That's the average salary is
Yes.
$125,000 for our size.
But didn't you say the 125 includes a bunch of other things?
It should. I
But
mean,
then,
we,
how does that,
I don't know, I've never seen his breakout, so
oh,
I
okay,
don't
I
know.
thought you did.
No,
So,
Also, I mean, those other items were in the budget before.
right,
I might as well bring up the debit card.
go ahead.
I've been called upon to use my personal debit card to the tune of about $2,500 a year while I've sat in this position. The renewal of the domain name, the Microsoft cloud renewal, the, $1,000. The SAMS.gov membership for any grants that we're applying for, $600. And it goes on. So, did I say $650 for the domain name? $650. So it's about $2,500, isn't that right, Ally? Yep. So that has to be budgeted somewhere, whether it's in the town administrator's budget or the treasurer's budget or another budget, doesn't matter, but, again, I don't think you're gonna always be able to get somebody to let you ride on their card, that way.
I gotta ask, did you say $650 for the domain name?
Domain name, yeah.
There has to be more to it than that, because it's only worth about $30
Oh, yeah.
per year. Yeah. I know, I got about 150 of them I renew every year at work, so.
Well, I'm not that tech savvy. So
No, that's all right, it could be that it's the hosting or something else on top of it. so.
Hosting, yeah, I don't know. In any event, we figured it out to be about $2,500, so you decide how you want to do it.
All right, questions? We're not voting on this, so,
I'm just curious, so you're gonna put that number in the budget, what happens if the person wants 130 and you find the perfect egg? Does it matter if you just hire them anyways?
well,
I guess
first-
so we should
first
get
of
too hung
all,
up on the numbers,
I
is
think
my
you gotta
point.
negotiate the contract.
You have
with
to
the person.
negotiate the contract,
That's what I
and
mean,
right
so
now,
we
it
can't get too
says,
caught up in this number anyways, because it could go either way. Maybe you find the perfect egg for 110.
it said, in the advertisement, it says, anywhere from, what,
There's a range.
1 to?
100 to 125.
To 125.
Okay, so there's a range.
So it is a range.
Pretty normal, just curious.
All right.
There's definitely a lot of, someplace you want to skip right now.
Excuse me?
I said, this is not someplace that we
No.
should be skipping.
I wouldn't think so.
All right.
I mean, to put the number in, if it's 1 to 125, you put the max in, and then we can negotiate down from there, but we don't have to spend the money, and you can't spend it if it's not in. But we're not voting on it now anyway, this is
Right.
just explanation.
Okay, next. Want to go right into management info? Which is tech.
Yep.
You got a number?
It's, I think it's under miscellaneous.
Oh, okay, so miscellaneous tab.
Oh, it's on the other side.
The number?
The management info is 155.
Is it on the other side?
Which one is it?
Department 155.
Yeah, 155.
I think it's under miscellaneous.
It's at the very end.
155.
Is this all yours?
This is all my fault.
This blue?
Yes.
I'm missing my,
Yes.
and I'm missing my budget thing.
Behind you, there's a yellow up top.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Is it, did we get any information on the Amazon?
you. Ally?
I haven't heard anything.
Because they had it in the.
I saw it, I can see it online.
You can see it online?
Yeah, you can get all sorts of information online. I'm assuming that someone has to come out and give us information, like a salesperson has to come out with this information.
So, I met with George the other day, and George, you can let everybody in on what we talked
Okay.
about.
Amazon has a service. It's a cloud server. And theoretically, it's much better than what we're doing because they're breakdowns or anything, we don't need an IT person to come in. They take care of the whole thing. Our software resides on there. And should be much more economical than what we're doing now. Not to mention you'd have 24/7 service. And all we would need here is a connection to any PC. So it has a lot of benefits. I'm not an IT person, but
Yeah, there are possibilities there. I haven't looked, I know we talked about it, I just
Yeah.
haven't had a chance to dig in and see. We kinda gotta know what we're running on this server, so I was trying to look back at some notes, so.
I think we just upgraded our service
You
6
did,
months
yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know what we're running, but I actually just had a little experience with this myself, and that's what I'm being told is the best way to go, bang for the buck, is go virtual server, either go cloud or rent space on somebody else's server and go that way. The only concern I have is where there was some issues with towns getting hacked and their whole servers were held for ransom, the whole town was.
I don't know what the legal archiving requirements are or anything else either, so we'd have to compare that out all in depth, but.
Well, from what I understand, they're responsible for maintenance, they're responsible for security intrusions, that kind of stuff. So that might be something we need.
Right, and that beats whatever, I mean, we got one guy who comes in every now and then, right, so there's only so much he can do, so.
What are we talking about with, the replacement equipment?
Ellie, do you know the answer to that question?
Just the figures that are already in the budget, you have my budget book.
Yeah, I know, 17,500 IT replacement equipment.
Right, I know, but what is that equipment?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking Ally. She doesn't apparently know either. We need our IT guy here, yeah.
Can we get, some information from the IT guy, of exactly what he's looking at for,
Isn't the VEDA the accounting something to do with accounting software?
IT software support fee, 16,100 of that is VEDA, that's 21,175. 16,100 VEDA.
No, my number's 6990.
right, for VEDA,
That's the increase to go to the Vadar cloud.
Right.
That's not our regular fee for support. So if you went with the cloud and our regular support, it would be 16,100 for Vadar. So the actual increase is basically 6,990 for Vadar under the IT support
Increase
fees.
on top of what's already there.
Yes.
and then there's 7,170 for replacement equipment, but we don't know what that,
That's just the regular, for every, we just put replacement equipment for anything that we need during the year. Because we typically will need something replaced.
Is that the number we've used in the past?
Yeah.
The 7170? Odd number, okay. So that's anticipating future failures in the next fiscal year.
so we're going from 35 to 50. Okay. So, is there any discussion perhaps in the future of maybe regionalizing the IT guy with, maybe Lakeville or another community to maybe see if we can, save some money along those lines? I mean, how does everybody feel about that?
I'd like to explore all our options and see what our options are, whether if going off-site is a better idea, if sharing an IT guy is a better idea.
Okay.
So I like to explore all of the options.
Again, Amazon will take you far off of the server side, but it's not gonna help you with your laptop or the desktop or any of that stuff, so you're not gonna get rid of them altogether. Some physical things are always gonna require them, just like the copy
Right.
machine and everybody else.
But it seems like network is predominantly more intense with repairs than.
It's also more expensive,
Right.
yeah, definitely.
All right.
And regionalizing, I think, is a great idea. There's probably more things we should look at.
I think that IT is a perfect way to start. If we could share some, maybe even Tri-Town. you know, I think it's something that we should look at. All right, because just throwing out an odd number, like, we don't even know, I mean, I asked for an equipment update, we haven't gotten that from the IT guy, you know, to see how old our equipment is, what was last replaced, and we used to have like a 5-year plan, we don't have that plan anymore, so I have no idea anymore where everything is and how outdated things are, so it's something that we should not wait till they break, but maybe we fix them before they break. You know, being proactive instead of reactive. So we should actually look at that too. So can you ask, thank you. All right, any other questions about IT? And we still should look into the Amazon thing, so that's not off the table either. All right, next. Legal.
151.
We're on a roll.
Yeah.
Never ending story type scenario within
No explanation given.
well, we got cases pending. You want to discuss them?
No, but I mean, how many reserves did we go, reserve requests did we go in for so
I
far?
don't know, of two.
I
Just
believe two.
two.
My recollection.
Yep. And what was the last, I mean, we're not gonna get our final bill until July.
Yeah. No, we're still gonna have something coming in for April, May, and June.
Yeah, we also had negotiations this year, I mean, we
Yeah, I know
we
there's
had a lot of,
stuff,
Yeah, we went to arbitration
We had-
overall.
right.
Well, we did do arbitration.
yeah, so I mean, there was a lot of stuff that I don't foresee happening next year.
Kim, what's
so.
our expenditures right now in legal to date for this year?
I'm not sure I have that
The
with
number
me
here,
right now.
36,000.
Oh, I know it's over that.
I don't know.
It's gonna be up at least around 80,
I think we're at 81.
80, 81, yeah, I don't think I have it from that negotiation.
Negotiation.
And that's only through February
Yeah.
invoices?
Oh, it's only through February.
Correct.
Yeah, I think we started going for transfers in January.
All right, let's hold that.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
That's only been-
all right, and reserve.
Excel goes online, it might be real number.
So the reserve fund, last year, we had 6395 in there for personnel, but that's because we were negotiating the contracts.
Okay.
And that's why we had that in there, because we set that aside, so when the contracts were done, we could go in and grab that. So I think that reserve.
I just kept the same
Right.
numbers,
I mean,
that's bottom line.
So
where it was.
125 should be the bottom line,
All right.
but, yeah.
132.
All right.
Okay.
That's it. No questions? No? Warrant articles? Warrant articles? Are you guys gonna stay for that, or are you guys hitting the road? or-
We weren't planning on staying for it.
Okay.
Are you going through all the warrant articles?
Yeah, we're not voting on them, we're just going through
Just
them.
going through and see what people.
We should go through this.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna meet Tuesday night and go through
All right,
this.
just remember that 10th is when we're gonna meet and finalize all the budgets and the warrant
2 weeks
articles.
from today?
10 days.
A week and a half.
Oh, that's.
Wednesday, the
the week
10th.
from Wednesday. Oh, that's next Wednesday.
Next one, not
Not this
Wednesday.
coming one, but the next one.
Right.
A week from Wednesday.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
we're meeting Monday night.
Tuesday.
Tuesday
Tuesday,
night.
I'm sorry.
Tuesday night,
What time?
This is gonna be
6 o'clock?
Probably doing that 6.
No,
Then
we're
we're
meeting
doing
at
5:30.
5:30, and then,
different meeting.
then, yeah, then this is it.
Different days.
Yeah,
What's
6
the number,
o'clock.
what's the school number?
Here,
What number are we getting for school?
6 o'clock here.
Percentage?
we're meeting with
increase?
the Lakeville Selectmen on at 5:30 on
the
that,
10th.
on the 10th.
Just with the selectmen? Not with any of the FinComs?
Oh, their FinCom is more than welcome to attend, just like you guys are, absolutely. We're meeting with them at 5:30.
5:30 here.
5:30 here,
5:30.
what's the date?
The 10th.
10th?
5:10. Week from Wednesday.
Any clues as to what the probable number might be? Or
The
you, is this,
Just from the last meeting, I believe that they're doing, well, you were here at the last meeting, the 550
Well, last year.
over last year.
which is what, 550?
550 in total.
Yeah.
Or
266 hours plus transportation costs is what that was the number they were bantering around. Would be our cost. You have all that.
I'm not sure I've got it all, to be honest
It's
with
the
you.
500,000. You remember he gave us
All right.
Richard Maderas gave us the two.
That's where I was coming at. So
That's the 500,000 one. So
their proposed budget, we're cutting $500,000, and this is the number.
no. Oh yeah, their proposed budget we're cutting
Their
a million.
Oh, we're cutting $1 million from the
Well,
budget.
that's all. What the numbers
Oh,
are
all right.
look like.
Okay.
So if you want to plug your board members, take a
Well, the dream number at 8.9%.
No, we're not doing
that.
that.
9.65 was our portion. Yes, that's
Actually, when you,
No.
yeah, when you add everything, it's 11.7. I'm just.
correct.
Okay.
That's the one that they wanted.
No, I understand, okay. So what are we talking? We're talking about 2%, 2.6?
No, it's 2.5 and then plus transportation.
Right.
Okay. I think that's what the last meeting that I went to at the regional FinCom. That's what, the name escapes me.
Richard Maderas.
No.
Fred Baker.
Fred Baker.
No,
No.
Lakeville,
Mitzi.
Lakeville Selectmen.
Mitzi or,
Missy.
Mitzi,
Mitzi.
okay.
Yeah, her, the thrust of
John.
her, the thrust of her talk was, don't come to us for more than 2.5, which I think is a realistic number. I don't know exactly what their numbers are, but they were not in shape, a lot worse shape. So, I don't think they can afford it, but they,
Yeah, I don't know.
don't forget, they have to deal with $1 million override every year. Like
Okay.
Berkeley's gonna have these trouble.
All right, you ready? So let's go over these. Let's do the special first.
Yeah, special.
Thank you.
Good night.
Guys.
Thank
All right, good night, thank you.
Every year, that
Always.
never, ever goes away.
Catch up with you.
Berkeley, thank you.
All right, so the first one,
Only once, sir.
gravel portion.
Yeah. This is not chapter 90 at all, because
No,
we
I
tried
don't
this last.
Chuck's over here. Chuck.
Chuck, you're up. Can I get a ride with you?
Special
I can get skinnier until I see it.
Yeah.
Okay, the 70 for Colebrook.
Yep.
I guess it's the same thing as the, same issue as we're having in East Freetown. Okay.
Basically, last year we asked for 68,000, this year I'm just going for 70,000. That'll basically go from High Street to just after, the second one's the kid's house. Basically, grade it, pave it, done.
Is it a mess?
Anything else?
It gets washboard, you know.
Helps on the dirt road.
Why is that not chapter 90? Because it's a dirt road?
That road is never accepted. Chapter 90 only.
What do they mean by never accepted?
Kim, do you want to come up?
The chapter 90 was recognized by chapter 90
Thank you.
on South Main Street.
They're gonna be an approved road by the town.
That road going from High Street into the forest is a forest road.
Why? It goes from town to town. I just,
I understand.
I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I don't know what their reason is.
Colby Cut Road was accepted by the town in whatever year. Well, state recognizes South Main Street to High Street.
Now, once we pave it, would we now then take it over?
You pave it, and then you have to go to town meeting, vote to have it accepted.
Just like we do a normal
Yep.
way?
Have it accepted.
Who actually owns it? Is state owned, or is it town
No,
owned?
it's
Town
I
owned.
do believe it.
It's mapped right now, kind of like Nancy's land, it's a proprietor's land.
Like I said, I'm really not gonna push the issue just because, like I said, you built the house on a dirt road. It's always been a dirt road, and as far as I'm concerned, it should always stay a dirt road.
I have an issue with the fact that if we're gonna take this out of stabilization funds, or even appropriate, well, let's say it's stabilization, we're taking 65 plus out for the water department. I think this is gonna have to take, in my opinion, this would have to take a back seat. They put grindings on it. It's not a problem with mud usually or anything like that. It's just that it's not a paved road.
It's dust, it's that kind of stuff.
There's 3 houses.
What do we have in stabilization right now?
In your regular stabilization.
Yes, please.
$2,318,650.
Thank you.
I think there's other things.
17,694.
And then 2.199 in capital stabilization.
So we're right around 2.3 with both stabilizations. Not maybe
No, with both of them, you're at almost 5.
No, each.
Oh, yeah.
Around 2.3 each.
Yeah, we were trying to balance everything out, so.
Well, the capital stabilization, I was off, because I thought we had $500,000 last year, we put $1 million in, so that's why I was off the
We'll
600,000.
put in another 4.
Do it. Okay. So what's your pleasure, we leaving this on, or taking it off?
I think we should take it off.
Doesn't matter to me.
I mean,
It would be nice to get that off your back at the same time, because
yeah, taxpayers.
But if nothing more, I submit the article to get them off my case. So I basically put the ball in your court. If you put it on the warrant and it gets voted down.
That's on the town, that's the will of the town.
yeah, I think we leave it on and let the town decide.
And let the 3 residents just say, sorry.
Plead their case.
The people's fault. And, yeah, if they actually show up to a town meeting, which you know how that usually.
Registered voter.
Okay.
That helps.
But if it makes it to the warrant, it goes before the townspeople vote it down. We, as the town, have done our part.
That's absolutely right. And it's a 2/3 vote, so it's not like it's gonna be it has to be a supermajority to allow it, so. I'm kind of pleased on this one. I think we allow it.
All right.
Once we do that though, if it gets appropriate, when we do the work, then we'll probably take the next step to approve it as a town road. And accept it, well, they already accepted, just not approved.
And that won't involve any drainage, that won't involve any,
You don't have any MEPR war, you don't have to worry about MEPR or anything there with drainage issues?
no, which is, because the real problem is the hill. You get a real heavy rain, you get 2 little washboard run,
Yeah.
We go up there, we spend a couple hours with the skid steer, and we put some more grindings back. And all the material that we put in that road doesn't cost the town a dime, so it's not like we're spending.
It's all reclaimed, so.
Yeah, we're not spending money on materials,
Is that gonna be you're gonna use that for a base sports there? So you don't have to take it all back out?
Yeah. There's grindings there probably a foot deep at least, so we'll probably, I don't even know what was there ever before. I'm assuming just gravel.
Gravel? Dusty gravel.
We'll grade it and then have whomever come in and just probably put down a 4-inch base of just binder. I probably won't even put top coat on it, just because there's no traffic, and there's no big truck traffic.
Modified binder will last forever.
There's no turning traffic and the binder will last forever.
Perfect. All right, do you have anything else?
Scan tool, was that?
No, that's on there too.
Yeah.
$3,500.
Yeah.
Same article as we asked last year, same dollar amount. With all the new police cruisers and the new ambulances and trucks and different things, it certainly would be a handy tool for the mechanic to have. came off Lazier with one of our trucks, and it was a $1,300 bill chasing codes, you know.
I thought it was a good idea last year, and I think it's a good idea this year.
And if it happens, great.
And is you gonna need monthly support with that too, is that all in that 3,500?
You know, the support, we could probably, because our fleet, we're at a point now where we probably won't need any upgrades for a year or two, according to the Snap-on representative. So, and even when the supports come, it's not a huge amount of money. It's something that we could probably absorb in-house, you know.
So you don't have to do the $65 a month
No.
program?
No, so it's, the base unit that we're looking to get should cover, basically, it's for the police cruisers and the smaller, for the ambulance, something like
Gas.
that. Gas and diesel.
Only diesel?
Yeah, it just won't do the big trucks, it won't do the heavy equipment, it won't do any of that stuff, but that system doesn't even really exist. That one machine to do all those
No, it's all
things.
private.
So it's, you know, it's, your truck, if it goes into a limp mode, you don't do anything without a laptop and all those things, so. All right?
Thank you.
Good night.
All right, the next article is, the All-American Investment. That's the one that we really have to do, right, Kim? Because we're, okay, so.
There's only just a couple of word changes on that. It should say on the very second, on the second to last line, was previously appropriated, and it's in the 17 budget, where it says, this agreement will be separately identified, raised, and, it should just say was previously appropriated in the capital budget section of the 17, not the 18 budget, because this is the one for the special.
Okay. Everybody else set with that?
Yep.
All right, and then the next one is the $300.40, but that comes out of the enterprise fund. That's the
Actually, I
rest.
want to go back to this lease deal.
Yep.
How much extra is it actually costing us to lease per car? In other words, as
There's
opposed
an
to.
interest rate, so
I mean, as
right now
opposed to
it's
buying it outright.
right now, the rate that Carlton has is 4.5, I believe.
Approximately, yes.
4.5
Yeah.
with All-American.
Kim, while we're at there, I'll ask this question. Would it behoove us to, instead of having leases in which we have to have a vote of 2/3 of a town meeting, would it be better to go with some type of a bond? Say,
You still have to have town meeting vote.
right, I understand that,
Okay.
but a bond would be, not be 2/3
Yeah, what step?
to purchase anything from bond,
Mm-hmm.
2/3 vote?
Yep.
Okay.
I
If
guess
you just wanted to appropriate it, it would be a majority vote, but you'd need to have the money to pay for that.
Right.
I guess I was just looking for a number, what we could save by purchasing it outright.
Well, I
Because I
mean,
think we got enough money we can afford, especially since we're buying 3 every year.
But
That's the way I look at it.
possibly police cruisers might be good, but the other thing is, when we're going to buy fire equipment.
A big stuff like a fire truck, I agree,
Yeah.
ambulance, lease. But if you're talking a pickup or small trucks, police cars,
Well, a $25,000 cruiser, 3% is what, $750
Yeah.
a year?
they were
More like $40,000.
I was thinking they were pushing
Is
40.
that what they're up to now?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
think so.
the thing is, with the lease, you know what you're paying. We always have 6 in rotation, so you know you're spending approximately $98,000 a year. If you switch the program, then you may need 4 cars one year. You're looking at $160,000 instead of 98. And maybe you need 2 the next, 3 the next, you know what I mean?
If you're not on a replacement program.
Right.
If you just do it as they wear out, you're saying
Right.
replace them instead of just replacing them every 3 years or whatever.
So the idea was, this seemed to be the most consistent and stable method of handling
And you're
it.
turning these cruises in at the end, or are you?
For $1, we acquire ownership.
So it's closed end?
Right.
Okay.
My thought is if we can make it 3 a year, we gotta be saving something. That's where I'm at, period. We might be able to pay for the care for the dog or something.
I don't know.
Is there any other benefit to leasing over, do we get a maintenance plan with the lease or anything?
Well, you amortize it over the, a longer period of time, instead of having to put all that money up front.
Well, I understand that, no, I meant, is there any other benefits besides financially to the lease?
Yeah, it's like you said, not only is it consistent, is you know you're getting that vehicle, right? What happens if we have a bad year and we can't replace a vehicle?
And that's what,
Then you're not gonna get that vehicle. in
you're
that
right,
year.
and those reasons contributed the Board of Selectmen and the fire
exactly
company.
why we did
We
that.
looked at it all and we said, hey, let's go along with this, and we've been doing it for, 15 years?
Yep.
But if we got that lousy year, we could back on exactly, if we had to. Yeah, I'm putting it out there, whatever.
Everything's
On the table.
on the
Yeah, I
table
know
for
it's not-
discussion.
Well, at least for this part, he already has the funding to do
Yeah.
this lease for 17. If you want to, as part of the capital budget discussion, which hasn't taken place yet, address the issue
Well-
at that time and not go forth with leasing, I mean, you can do that, but.
If we do something else, then we don't need this article. I guess that's where I'm heading right
No,
now, but,
well, I
okay.
think no matter what, you need this article here now,
For this,
or he's not gonna get his cruiser.
and then the next cycle, we would have to address whether we lease it or
This
not.
is money already
Oh,
appropriated now.
this is for the 17.
Yeah, that's,
This
this
is
is
special
special
town
town
Current
meeting.
year,
Yeah.
all right, I'm thinking.
We're not on
And it's
annual yet.
because there was changes to the law, that's why this is.
Yeah, I remember you
It was all
mentioned that in
housekeeping.
January, so, okay. All right,
Okay,
we tried.
and then the next article is water, so we're all set with that.
Yep.
And,
So is the next one? No,
no, we can take that off, right? We don't need that, the
Well,
article.
unless you wanna do something with the 17,694, that would be your option to do it right there.
No, let's just carry it over to town meeting in case we need it. Can we carry it forward? Leave it free cash?
And use it on the annual?
Yeah,
Yep.
all right. Just in case something happens on town meeting floor, I would just take it out. Are you all right with that? In case we need that?
I get it.
All right.
Makes sense to me.
So this is the
So special stuff.
special, no,
Well-
the 65-9, because it came in today.
That was the,
Oh, yeah.
whatever happened, yeah. You were talking about that earlier with a lot of people, so.
Right. That's coming out of stabilization.
Is that coming on regular stabilization?
To us,
It's not really a capital,
it's not really.
not really a capital.
I would just take it out of regular. We're taking the other 600, whatever, out of capital,
Capital.
so let's take this one out of regular.
Okay.
Okay.
Still at 6.2 and change.
Yeah.
2.2 and change.
You know what you meant.
Thank you.
Yeah, quickly.
Quick.
I really want to be home by 8. It doesn't look like that's working right now.
I'm sure you have a time machine in there somewhere.
Missed.
Within a way it heats up.
Okay, Article 1 is all set, because that's just
That's
this
omnibus.
budget. Article 2, all set.
Yep.
Okay,
Still no raise.
right. Article 3, it's something that we have to do every year. It's the assessors, key evaluation,
Yeah, 99.
so 9,900, that's all set.
Just,
Shouldn't that be in their budget, or is there a reason it's not? Because it's an every year
it's a
deal.
statute.
We just always had it as a warrant
It's
article.
always, as long as I've been here,
Yeah,
it's always been done separately from,
I know,
We've got a point.
it still comes out of the same pot.
Right, yeah. But
The
but
nice
you
thing
have
is if
a
it
point.
was in a budget, it wouldn't have a standard chance of being voted down on the floor. So to that point,
Well, just raising the issue.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
I kinda, I agree. Yeah. What is the?
there's no statutory requirement to apply articles.
I was reading.
Okay.
I think that's what it is.
I think the reason why this is here in a warrant article is because before, we used to have, when times were tight, we used to put it off for a year and then double up the following year, so
Yeah.
that's why it was in a warrant article. and not
which one
part
are
of
you
the
talking
budget.
about?
The 9,900, and then the other one too, really. The
Yeah.
10-year one?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Well,
We
yeah,
can
the
look into-
10-year comes,
Go ahead.
the reval was split up into 3 equal increments.
Yep.
Because when I first started, the interim year was 1,000, the interim year was 1,000, the reval year was 99,000. And people nearly passed out.
Right. Right.
So that's why we broke it into equal segments.
Okay.
Yeah, in the future, we might wanna consider.
I agree.
Bumping that into their budget.
All right, the 900 for veterans graves, everybody's all set?
Yeah.
Same point there. These are new grades, they're gonna have to be maintained every year, right?
The number typically is around 350. It jumped up this year because we had additional graves that we became aware of after the
Yeah.
budget gets. So next year, the budget will go up maybe $600, and the article will go back down to its usual 350.
Okay.
It was just like 6 to 12. We could have sent a letter
Yeah,
saying the
I
budget
know.
has to go up,
Either
but
way, but yeah.
rather doing it that way.
Okay.
All right, next article.
$9,000 for projects and preparations related to town compliance and meeting the EPA's Massachusetts small MS4 permit. That's the one you talked about before?
Right.
Okay.
Excuse me? Did the 31,005 come up?
Not yet,
Not
it's
yet.
on here,
It's-
but.
But it's there.
Yep.
Okay, so
Sorry.
it's somewhere.
Okay, the 2,854 to purchase a small shed for the Sonnet Cemetery.
Right.
Yeah, I don't like to say that.
Very,
I have a really hard time with that. Why did you notice that?
The AVG.
It's just, it's unique,
Ah.
it's a unique name.
Called out by Charlie.
What was the book, Charlie? So you're downsizing the shed, is that what you're doing? You're not repairing the one that's there, you just downsize it to a new shed?
The shed we have now, the estimates to repair it were almost 3 times as much as what it was to replace it. The person who would have done the repair work said to us, you're better off just buying a new shed that's half the size. We don't need anything that's as big as what's there. And
You're not gonna lose the shed that's there though by not doing maintenance on it?
no, we'll leave it as is because it is questionably historic, so we'll just kind of nail the door shut and leave it there and have this smaller, more useful shed there.
Should that one also be a stabilization or a capital stabilization?
No, it's a one-time purchase.
I hope so.
Yeah. 35, we already talked about that, the scan.
Yeah, and tool.
Okay, the cemetery lots, cemetery commission, it's annual, it comes out of their own revenue streams, so that
Right,
should
it's
be
their
all
money to
set.
spend.
Yep. 31.5 for the recertification. The second year, the third year, all right, that's fine.
Could that ultimately end up in their budget?
Say that again? I'm
Could
sorry.
that ultimately end up in your budget?
No. No, you don't want that built into the budget. Right now, we work with PK Valuations. They're a wonderful company. I'm glad to have them, and I would stay with them as long as they exist. But we could end up with another company, and that amount could go up or down. And I don't want that, I wouldn't want that inside of my operating budget. Because right now, as I said, we break it into equal increments, 31.5,
Yeah, I
31.5.
understand that.
But a different company might have a different procedure,
Okay.
and I don't want to, and the townspeople should know what they're spending on these services. But they're not cheap.
Okay.
It goes out to bid every
Yeah.
so often.
So as the bids change, that number might change.
Yeah. The 21.5 for the purchasing, this is Kim.
I've got a couple of questions for you, Kim.
Yep.
First of all, what type of work were you eyeing for the town hall basement for storage.
It's a complete redesign of the town hall basement, and it's, to put in new shelving, because the shelving that we have is not adequately sized for all the records that need to be stored. It's also for them to kind of reorganize how things are stored down there, to consolidate all the janitorial supplies and those types of supplies into one space, to update the database that's already being used by the town clerk, to add all the other boxes that are down there that aren't currently in an archival system, which will then give us reports as to when things need to be destroyed and submit the request to the Secretary of the Records to get approval to destroy. It is also going to be for all the supplies, to get the right size boxes, to go on the right size shelves, to make sure that it meets the fire code, which it does not meet right now because we have stuff all the way up to the rafters. The aisles aren't wide enough for folks to get through. Sorry.
Because this is my point.
Okay.
I went through with Scott on Friday, looked through the basement of the village school. And if we're going to put new windows and make the village school weather tight, and we have an idea of possibly using the village school in the future for some type of addition to town hall, I'm thinking that it might be a lot better to look deeply into using the basement of the village school for your storage. It's going to improve fire load on the building. You have all these records in the basement of town hall, near a heating plant, everything like that. Structurally, town hall could probably use a little bit less weight on it, and it would use, another thing is the height of the building would be less likely to have a danger of flooding. If we ever had like a hurricane or anything like that, we'd be possibly destroying these records, where if you went up, you've got to probably go up at least 6 feet with the village school. And I'm just thinking that might be, I have no, the only thing, seeing it, you have it specifically here as town hall. And so I'm not saying that we might not end up still in town hall, but I think a pretty good, Scott and I just walked through the building and so forth, but I think that would be a possible good use for the village school, especially since we have this idea of making it weather tight.
I think you need to know how much it's gonna be to bring the school up to the standard you wanna use. There's no heating system right now.
Right, but you don't need any heat for record.
I think you might need some heat to preserve some papers.
You also don't have sprinklers. I don't think it's water right now, so you're not sprinkling. I don't know if you need that.
Current basement isn't sprinkled.
I know, isn't that part of this? Was
Not putting
fire?
sprinklers in.
So what's your fire thing? You said you was.
To get it away from this rafters,
Just to
it's supposed to be at
increase
least
clearance?
18 inches down from the rafters,
Okay.
and 3 feet wide for the aisles.
If this money was still appropriated and we took out town hall, you could use it at either place, correct?
Yeah, they would just redesign it
They
for the
okay.
space
It was
that
not
they have.
site-specific.
All right, so can we take out town hall? I'm
Oh.
fine with what?
Basement of town hall, just take all that out, just redesign
Right.
storage to maximize storage, comply with fire codes, purge, and just take out from basement of the town hall all out. In the basement of the town hall, start there. So now redesign record storage to maximize storage and comply with current fire codes, purge records, and so on. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Because I think that's potentially very good use of the building.
All right, 2,000 for the women's fund, and,
Chapter 44, 53.
yeah, this is the revolving accounts. Everybody all right with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and the next article is the $150,000 for the parcel of land. Where are we with that? Do we know?
I haven't gotten an update, as we talked to,
Still doing title search, do you know?
Yeah, when last we were here, Sean had asked that you keep the article on just because it was giving you the permission to continue working on it. So when it got close to the deadline, that's basically the same article that Lakeville used when they sold them some land on Howland Road a couple of years ago. I just changed the number and the name of the town, and
So-
I gave it to Ally as kind of a placeholder.
If they're not ready, we might have to pull this on the floor.
Right.
Well, all that article is doing is authorizing them, so if they have the potential to be ready in February of 2018, that article would still apply. If they were gonna go,
Unless the number changes.
the number will not,
It's already changed from 200 to 150.
right. Well, they gave you that offer of 150, so you would be having a much lengthier conversation with them if they tried to give the number down. That's why I think that's worded to accept no less than 150, because that's what you've tentatively agreed to with them right now. At the very least, this article's not gonna cost you any money, and if it falls apart,
Right.
it falls apart.
Okay,
Okay.
that's fine.
All right. The next article is just the water enterprise fund. Everybody all right with that? Okay.
And so,
And then sewer, and now the next article is the 3 million, which they're gonna come back to us with
yes, the change.
changes, okay? And then the other one is the sewer, so we're all set with that.
No, it's to combine.
Huh?
There's a combination article, I think it probably would have been listed the other way, but the article on the next page, page 10, is actually to combine the
Okay.
water
Yeah.
and sewer enterprise into one, and then that's a combined budget if that were to pass.
But we still need the other one.
You have the other two.
Right, that's why I was just on that, the second one. So now we're going to,
Second one was sewer, and then you did the 3 million, so aren't you on the third one?
right, now we're working to the third one. You
702,
jumped ahead, I didn't know what this.
624,
Okay, so now we're on the one that you were talking about, this one on the bottom, correct?
Page 9?
Page 9, Bob.
Kim, okay, right, Kim, on page 9, the bottom article, shouldn't that be after,
Yeah, well, they're not in order.
right, okay, I just wanna make sure,
No, we don't
I just
sign
wanna make
numbers
sure
until
that
it's-
we don't have a mistake there.
Honestly, the 1-2 combined should be the very first one that would be considered. If there is going to be a combination of the two enterprise funds,
Then you're
then
not
you'd
gonna-
immediately go to the combined budget and you would take no action on the other two for them to be independent.
Does make sense. Because the other
It's
two,
also very confusing.
well, the other two are only contingent on them not
Right.
combining and doing it one time through.
So Ally, put this page 10 one first.
Yep.
All right,
Yep, and then the other two independent ones, and then you can just take no action. Yep.
okay.
We're on 11, right?
Question on this water and sewer enterprise, do we maybe wanna get away from the enterprise deal, like it seems, I don't know,
No,
okay?
I don't see that,
no.
All right.
that's one person's.
You know, I
It's not-
realize
not-
that. I
The
realize
water
that, but-
enterprise fund was put in for a specific reason.
Yeah, okay.
And it is actually recommended, so.
The town can always augment the budget if it needed. Kim said that before, if we need to put money into that budget, we
Yeah.
can.
All right.
And water system is always gonna grow.
All right.
A lot of
People like to
people like
drink.
to see it, yeah.
Next, this would be the same as in the special, but this would be for the FY18 budget.
Yes, and that's for 2
Hotels.
It's the same deal,
Yep.
just a different number of cards, okay.
Okay, your assistant superintendent.
That is born of, we are trying to find some way to officially recognize Richard in his volunteer capacity. We had written to you guys last year, and there was some sort of insurance concern or something. We can only appoint a superintendent, that's why we had looked to you guys to do something beyond that. This would allow us to do something beyond that. The problem with the superintendent's position is for all of the cemeteries, he's concerned with only one, so it wouldn't make sense to do that.
Okay.
It's, if nothing else, it's a protection for him when he does. If he's removing decorations that are damaged or something, nobody can come back and say, oh, a random person just went down there and did it. Doesn't cost anything, it's just a little bit of protection for him as a volunteer.
Okay. Conservation Commission, 3-member volunteer town forest committee to aid the Conservation Commission in developing and managing its land holdings for better use. Who's speaking to that?
It's something that the law allows. The Conservation Commission itself, the 5-member commission, is pretty much bogged down with enforcing state regulations. This would allow them to have 3 people to help them with the use of the land. We've acquired maybe 150 acres of additional land in the last couple of years. They have almost 400 acres of land now. This would be people that would help plan trails, develop trails, volunteer crew to go out and do that sort of thing. If the state were to acquire that land up here, they made a tentative offer to extend some trails onto the neighboring Freetown conservation land. These people would work with the state in doing that. It's basically just to provide some help to the Conservation Commission to do that part of their job. When you go back historically, the Conservation Commission used to do a lot more of that land management, but they spend most of their time enforcing state rules with development and things like that. It's just people to help them.
And this would be appointed by the Conservation Commission?
Right.
I have no opinion.
I have no opinion at all. More on the negative than the positive, but no opinion. That's as honest as I can be. Charlie?
I don't see any problem one way or the other.
Okay.
Everyone stay on?
Who do you want? I mean, do you have enough, is everybody showing up to meetings? Are you, are we gonna have another committee that we can't get enough members for?
Well, this is only 3, so your quorum would be 2.
It doesn't have to be current members, it could be other people.
Oh, it doesn't have to be anybody that's currently on the Conservation Commission. It
Not
could
a
be 3
subcommittee.
completely unrelated people. So,
So some of the bio reserve, people like to watch bio reserve, maybe they'll
yeah.
put Barry on.
Right.
We get good pictures that way, at least.
Next.
Carlton? Special Injury Leave Indemnity Fund.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Massachusetts Municipal Modernization Act allows a town to adopt this particular provision. I think it's 4th paragraph of 111F. So what that allows for is, let's say there's an injured firefighter or a police officer, and that particular department is paying the salary. An insurance check comes in. Right now, the insurance check goes into the general fund. Under this mechanism, the check would come into this particular account, and then with the selectmen's vote, would be able to augment what's been paid from that department, what it's lost out of its budget for the 111F in support of the injured firefighter or police officer. Because remember, when you have an injured firefighter or a police officer, not only are you paying them 111F, you're paying for the medical bills, and then you're trying to pay for backfilling the position as well. So it eats holes in the municipal department's budgets.
But you could also go in for a reserve fund transfer.
You could, but
whatever
you kind of rolling the dice, because are you going to go in right away? Are you going to wait till the end of the fiscal year? If you go in at the end of the fiscal year and you're asking for $50,000, $75,000, they may not have it. And remember that money that came in went into the general fund. It didn't go into the reserve fund. So I think what happened is the state has looked at this and seen there was a problem.
It kind of cleans it up.
It kind of cleans it up. In addition, a town may appropriate money and put it into that account, sort of like insurance. you
Yeah,
know.
let's not go that far.
Yeah, well, I didn't.
Does 111F though only pertain
You're better
to-
off.
Does 111C have anything to do with 111F?
I'm not sure about 111, let's see.
111C is your engine on duty, hot and lunch stipends. Those aren't insurance covered.
Yeah, I think
So
you may
those
be
would stay
referring
the
to
same.
retirement, presumptions for retirement?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally separate from IOD under 111F.
Okay. Yeah.
You all set?
I'm good.
Good, good, all right. OPED, liability trust.
You know, we set this up years ago.
Right, it's just not set up quite right. It doesn't actually meet all the provisions that it really should meet. And the Municipal Modernization Act tried to address that by updating the statute. But normally, if you just had adopted the statute to begin with, any changes would roll over. Not the case for the OPEB trust fund. You actually have to revote the statute. But if you do that, then you're basically now actually creating a real trust. It meets all of the requirements for the IRS, the DLS, PERAC, and GASB. So I'm not sure what town council's thought is on that.
All right, we'll ask him, and do we have to fund it at a certain level
No.
if we adopt this?
No.
Okay.
I'm good.
Somebody really wants to. Huh? Okay. A lease purchase financing agreement.
This is just like a placeholder, because you guys haven't talked about your capital budget. I don't know if you're going
Right.
to be leasing anything else. So this is, you can get rid of this if you're just buying the rest of the stuff. We can always add to the other lease
You have some
purchase.
leases, don't you, this year?
Well, yeah, that was,
No.
we already did that.
We already did those two.
Right, so we would,
No fire
this
trucks,
is-
there's no.
If you
no,
have,
I don't think
No.
so.
everything else on the capital budget right now is to be outright purchased. I don't know if you guys might want to lease any of those instead of purchasing them.
Did you look at that?
So,
Archie's car was somewhere in there, but I think that was a
So
purchase.
basically, Tim, this is, right now, this is insurance for whatever we may do in the future, correct?
No, you'd have to know what you were gonna do based on the capital budget that you're gonna vote.
Okay, this is only for the.
And you can vote, each of these, leases separately, or you can do it all in one article.
Is
So
it?
you could just modify the one that we
That's
have
part
for
of
the
the ongoing
cruisers
one.
if you have other assets that you're going to lease.
The dump truck, it's the last year of the lease. The dump truck, the last year of the lease is $20,565.
Any of
Only
the
new
new
ones?
things.
Oh, there's a new one there, so it would have to stay. No,
well, we
I don't
keep
think
it
there's
down.
any other new leases except Carlton's.
he has a new, dump truck, $156,000,
Did he come
5%
in?
interest. Yeah, 3 years, see?
Truck has been here and gone.
We didn't have it to talk about.
That's
I
an
know, I know.
existing dump truck.
It says new request lease.
But the 150.
Why does it say that then?
I believe he's going for another.
Whoops, somebody lost a bunch of papers.
That's all, I'll get it.
So, I know,
I
it's
get
the
some of
second
them.
payment, right? Or is this is the last one, and maybe this is a new one?
Thank
It's
you.
not a new one. This was his down payment. This isn't.
Something else might
Okay,
be
so
of
we can take
Yeah.
that off, all right, perfect.
Yeah. that's not new.
Thanks,
Sorry.
Kim.
So we have nothing then? Do
No.
do you wanna leave it on until we know for sure we have
Yeah, we'll
nothing?
leave it on, but we need to go over this capital
Yeah.
budget as well. Lauren,
You're up.
you're up.
Oh,
No,
You're
no,
doing
you've got
anything
one
with
more.
the departmental
Okay,
funds?
the revolving fund.
Like this one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the revolving one.
This is to create a new bylaw, which is required now by.
This was supposed to be modernizations, this act of the
It
legislature?
is. Doesn't
Yeah.
feel that way, does it?
Doesn't feel that way to me, it's, we're going backwards.
Does this have to be done for, this town meeting?
It could be delayed till the fall, but it has to be in place prior to next year's annual.
The thing is that, Jack, we're gonna be at a meeting for 4 hours.
Well, I think there's only 35 articles altogether. Most of them are kind of procedural.
Just 35?
Just 35, and then we're gonna be talking about the water one for like an
Oh,
hour?
Well, it depends on what we put on for one.
All right,
I mean, it can be delayed, it needs to be done at some point.
I think we hold it off to the fall. Let's see how many Lauren can hold off on too. Good, Lauren.
I can probably hold off on the numbering of the sign bylaw, but that would be like a really quick article at town meeting. That's just some housekeeping. Was there which article did you want to start out with?
First one is the article of
Truck
terminal.
Truck terminal.
Truck terminal, okay, yeah, that was brought up by, some members of the board, just sort of looking at, what can we do in town, there was some, maybe reports of trucks being, parking overnight, in different places, so, this would kind of, point out where they would be allowed to go, in industrial two district. So the article defines it and then puts it in the table of use as to where it's allowed.
So really, this is for the truck people that wanna come in and build.
No, this is transient trucking. These are the people that are parking now illegally, well, not illegally, that's the wrong word. The people that truck.
Former Salon Village Pizza, for example, or the floor when I come by tonight.
That article, correct. They're parking there, they're parking behind Juniors, they're parking across the street behind
Yep,
the old
okay.
Juniors. And there's nothing in the bylaws to enforce not allowing them to do that, because we're on private property. And there's been a lot of complaints.
So the truck terminal would allow them to do what?
It defines what it is. It's trucks that are parked anywhere for a duration in excess of 24 hours, either for storage or rerouting, reshipment, includes semi-trailers and the tractor-trailer units. And putting it in the table of use would make it only allowed by special permit in 2 zones.
Right, again, so am I missing out on something? So if somebody wants to build a trucking depot or a truck stop, that's basically sort of what this is gonna address? No?
It was more to address the transient issue when we initially
She's looking to go a lot further than what you're talking about.
conceived of it.
I agree,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah. When we were talking about transient before, though, in excess of 24 hours really isn't transient anymore. Those are more long-term. It also speaks to South Main Street near mini storage, where they're parking trailers there. They also look at getting a place in the industrial park trailers there when they're not being used at Amazon or Stop and Shop, or any facility that has a lot of truck trailer traffic.
But, Lauren, this would not impede someone coming into a local warehousing facility, not being there early and then going and parking for a period of time and then going in to the building, correct?
The way the definition reads now, it would be in a stored for a duration in excess of 24 hours.
That's one of the problems that I see, is it's not that they're parking for over 24 hours.
They're going from point A to point B, and might be told 30 hours,
Right.
that idea.
Right. Or they drop off their load at the warehouse. The logistics of their own company hasn't given them a new assignment, so they tell them to sit somewhere. They're not allowed to stay on the property of the warehouse.
Well, there are logs that are federal requirements, and that's too.
They're downtime for 8 hours.
Yeah.
I don't think that necessarily speaks to that with the excess of 24 hours.
True. How about those pods? Is there any issue with those? You know, people move you know, they load their furniture and something, and they move to new location, and this thing sits there for a couple of months before they unload it.
I think it's,
That would be.
I mean, you don't have
Yeah.
anything yet.
say,
No, we don't have anything right
Okay.
say somebody goes out and buys a piece of land anywhere, and they'd start parking trailers on it for,
That's what happened on South Main Street.
which is, see, down on South Main Street behind the mini storage, there's a facility right now where they park excess trailers from Amazon. At one time, Stop and Shop had another area behind Churchill and Banks. So that would address that. It's not gonna address
Train.
transit, like waiting, you know,
Mhm.
somebody comes in,
Right,
you know, a load of toilet paper.
I gotcha.
They don't accept it right away.
There is a caveat in our zoning bylaws for parking areas over a certain square footage that now, we did at the last town meeting, right? That is required a special permit. But that's not necessarily speaking to this, that's just a parking lot in general, not necessarily truck traffic.
I mean, there's what it's objective.
Okay. Our town meeting's gonna go till like midnight, guaranteed.
I read fast.
Next. Just, can we, like, the policy's always been that the worded these articles, all worded articles are for the fall, unless they're really, really needed for the annual. We've been trying to get away from that for years, and it's worked out really well, 'cause now we have 2 quick meetings instead of marathon meetings, because at the end, people don't even care, don't wanna listen, and you miss out. Yeah, so, all right.
If you wanna hold that one over to the annual, to the special,
Fall.
fall town meeting,
Yeah.
special town meeting.
I think that's one of the ones that we could probably work, I mean, we're gonna have the public hearing along with all the rest of them.
But
on
that's
the
good
16th.
until whenever, so,
Mhm.
so why don't we hold that one over till the fall town meeting?
All right, what is the next one? It's just wording, deleting uses.
Oh, that's the Science and Technology Overlay District over by Amazon.
Yep.
There's still, I think on either side of Innovation Way, probably about 50 acres left.
Right.
So, when we initially, wrote this bylaw, it was matching what Far Rivers Overlay District, does.
Right.
But their underlying district was a little bit more permissive, or a lot more permissive than our underlying district. So it's just sort of matching and making it a little more, opening up the amount of uses that can be up there.
Compatible with Fort Rivers. Underline.
So like, ancillary things like a hotel to Amazon, because they're gonna have executives come and stay. It allows for that, whereas it did not before.
Okay. Yeah. The next one, zoning bylaws by adding the clarify allowed hours of operation, yep, for types of businesses in different zoning districts in the town. Okay. Pretty self-explanatory.
Is that one that,
That one's okay.
that was okay?
Some of these are needed, some, you know what I'm saying, like, okay.
Yes.
The article lends further clarification of the uses that are permissible within the Science and Technology Overlay District. Is that the same one, or is that different than the other one?
Oh, I thought that was the one we were talking about.
The one that we talked about.
No, the other one is the article would correct a numbering error in subsection
Yeah.
of the bylaw as outlined in the process that an applicant with a proposed use not currently found in the tables of regulations can undergo.
Oh, okay, that is any, anything that is not in the table of use, would go to the planning board for a special permit.
Yeah, the reason this is generated is people come in with things that aren't in our table of use, which town council has said, if that's the case, then if you haven't said no, you can't have it, then it's allowable. So it becomes an allowable use, and that's,
Actually, it's sort of murky, it doesn't really say anything, so we've sort of been
that's been the
in
practice.
limbo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this would clear up if it's not there, you'd have to get a special permit for it. because things are getting invented, new things are coming all the time, and
Mhm.
we can't keep up with the table use.
All right. So
Some of
then
them might be a good use, you know, or good for the
Some might
town.
be gasoline from, being made from plant pulp,
Right.
that you don't necessarily want.
All right, and we're all right with the science and technology
That
overlay
one's the
one,
one we
yep.
thought we did.
This article would include, this is another number formatting, section 11.20D.
Signed by law.
Signs.
So you said you could hold on that one, or no?
I could, but it's super quick. It's really like something's labeled 9 and it should be 10.
Okay.
That sort of thing.
All right, temporary moratorium on recreational marijuana, we've already talked about this, this is
That one has to go.
stay, has to go, has to stay?
Stay.
Oh.
Have to go to meeting.
Yeah,
In June.
Sorry.
Since I wasn't privy to the conversation, why are we putting a moratorium?
Because the Cannabis Control Commission's been tasked with promulgating rules and regulations regarding marijuana, and they have a deadline of April 2018. At that point, they have to begin accepting applications from licensees that already have gone through the DPH process. So if you don't have any zoning in town for it, what we've been told by council is that it is a possibility, and the argument could be made, that they could open up anywhere where retail is. So if we put a moratorium on till like June 30th, I think is what's written.
2018.
2018.
So the moratorium would be until June?
It would just match the state's moratorium on licensing.
Okay.
If, currently, right now, if somebody comes in, even though they can't get the license, but they can start the process now, do site assignments and stuff, they would be, when it opens up, they would already be in the pipeline, they could get their
Okay, so.
dispensary anywhere they want.
So, in other words, as the law is now, the day after the moratorium, they could open their door?
They would be in the pipeline to open their door, yeah, their license could be. It's really,
So we're only extending it how long? The moratorium, how long are we gonna extend the moratorium?
Well, in April 2018, a medical marijuana licensee, anywhere in the state, like, doesn't have to be somebody that's already in Freetown, can ostensibly open up shop wherever, unless we have zoning in place. This moratorium goes through next town meeting in 2018 and can hold that off while we decide what we want to do. We have
Like a year.
discussed limiting the number of licenses, we've discussed
Okay.
prohibiting retail
Right.
as options.
Okay,
Not to say that we're gonna choose to do that, but
So when you say a year, it's from July
from the vote, when we vote on this on town meeting to the next town meeting,
Okay.
is basically what's gonna cover. It's gonna cover a little bit more than that, because the town meeting's the first Monday in June, and this is gonna go to the
Okay, so
third.
it's gonna extend the
Next
moratorium like 2 months? Really over the state? Okay.
Not even a month, not even a month.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 2 months, yeah.
The other two are fine, capital stabilization and stabilization, so
Yeah,
those will stay.
maybe overlay too. We have the medical marijuana overlay too.
It's not in?
Not in it? No?
Not that I saw.
See it?
Pretty sure I submitted it.
Did we miss one?
I must have missed it.
Truck terminals?
No, I have it right here. I must have missed it, that one. All right, you're gonna take the truck one out then, okay?
I'll take the truck
Thank
one.
you. To see if the town will vote to amend the zoning bylaw by adding a new section 11.33 medical marijuana overlay district. Go ahead.
Okay, so, kind of pulled my feet from the last one. When the board decided that they were going to allow medical marijuana in the I2 district in 2013, that was before Republic Services, before American came into town. And so that land got eaten up pretty fast.
One.
Yeah, by those two projects. So, just in discussion, looking at citing medical marijuana, where there's infrastructure of water, namely in town. And so, the map that I have submitted showed the Churchill and Banks, property, Obviously, the I-2 where it's already allowed, and then some of the properties off of Hope Cut Road.
Extension of I-1.
Right.
Okay. All right.
So that can go on too?
Yeah.
Um,
The trick to medical marijuana is the state currently, by referendum vote, where medical marijuana is, there is actually medical marijuana cited, they're gonna be allowed to sell recreational marijuana
Right.
automatically. The other people that don't have it medical will be allowed to sell, apply to sell recreational, but the medical marijuana places will be able to sell recreational. So all the siting in the town, entire town was eaten up by the one company, really. The other company's not affiliated, they bought the property that's there, but it's not affiliated with medical marijuana. So it's a trick to figure out where you're gonna put medical, knowing in down the line it may also lead to recreational going in those places. So the board wanted to keep it away from residential.
But the host community agreement says it's not allowed.
Dispensary's not allowed currently on the two that, the one we have signed. For that one, yes, but there's no, that wiped out everything else. So the thought was we might be able to limit where we put recreational if we sign the medical now. When recreational comes, there's a minimum formula. Currently, the way it stands, because everything's in the air, there's 26 amendments to the law that were passed by referendum.
Right.
But currently, the way it stands now, some forward thinking looking at where it is, where medical's gonna be allowed. If we increase a little bit of the area for medical, might stem off recreational trying to go elsewhere in the town. Okay? Is that it?
May I just ask really quickly, if you talked about who is gonna work with us on the
Charlie.
Charlie?
You're
Okay,
Charlie.
great. Would May 10th work for you?
What's that? Did he look
Did
this
May
way?
10th work for you for that meeting?
Yeah.
At 1 o'clock? Okay, thank you. And we can
Hang
just
on.
get back to stuff.
No.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.